So if you're just joining us on our live broadcast, we got about 10 seconds before we hit the record button. So if you just hang in there with us, we're going to have the complete formal opening coming your way here in just a couple of seconds. Here we go. You ready? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the In Wheel Time program, your all things automotive car show. We sure appreciate you being with us on this Saturday for our live broadcast. And if you're listening on one of our podcasts, thank you anyway, because I think that we got a great show lined up for you today, all 2.5 hours of it. We usually, for podcasts, create 30-minute shows, and welcome to all of you as well, along with Mike out of this world Mars, King
Howdy,
Conrad
Mom.
DeLong, Jeffrey Zekin, who's just off camera, and will be joining us here in just a minute. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us on this Saturday, and we want to welcome and want to consider all of our fine folks over in Louisiana this morning, because those fine folks are going through hell, waking up this morning to try to figure out what they have left over there after the same area that was hit by Laura was hit again yesterday by Delta. Really? Yeah, it's sad. I have a friend over there. It's actually over here right now. I'm going to go back tomorrow. So once they determine when it's okay to go back, 700,000 people are currently without power between Texas and Louisiana, and also Arkansas, I understand. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them this morning. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you, and we're going to start off with a bang, because with us right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the fabulous Mr. Randy Weldon, Northside Mustang Club. Randy, it's always great to have you here, and thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday. It's beautiful here in Houston, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. Nice out there this morning.
Well, so Randy, what are we going to talk about today? You know, there's so much news going on, not only with, especially with Ford, with the new Bronco coming out, but there's also plenty of news on the Shelby front. I mean, where do you want to start?
Hey, you know, I was looking at what local area clubs are doing around here.
Well, you know what? I think that's a great diversion, and I think that's exactly what we should do. Let's start with what the clubs are doing around here. We have a very good friend of ours, Craig Bierman, with Houston Speed and Sport Chrome Plating, and he started. And he started a cruise-in over at Prince's Hamburgers, and people that are familiar with Houston history know about Prince's. They started really the cruise-in craze here back in the 1950s with their fabulous Prince's Hamburgers, and there's several locations around town. Well, now they're over at Sharpstown golf course, used to be Sharpstown Country Club. So Craig is putting on a little cruise-in car show over there, first Sunday of every month. We had one last Sunday, 9 to noon. It was a great turnout. And, you know, a lot of clubs like to go to these kinds of things because it's a no-pressure deal. It's a wash-and-go kind of thing, and it's fun. You can get together as a club to go places. And I assume that you guys every once in a while get together for a little road cruise somewhere.
You guys do a Friday night, don't you?
We do a Friday night. We actually take part in the Porter Hot Rods 99-59 meet, which is at the corner of 99 and 59 in the Kroger Shopping Center. That's from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And if you go back about 2 weeks ago, there were about 200 cars that showed up out there.
Oh,
wow. That's big.
That thing is really, really grown over the last couple of years.
You know, the cruise-ins are so popular these days. I remember a time when there were no really cruise-ins per se. You know, people would meet up at, like I said, at Prince's Hamburgers or wherever it was. But now, Kroger parking lots, Home Depot parking lots, country club golf courses, whatever the case may be. Tons of fun. Everybody gets together and then gets to go home that evening, and it's really a no-pressure deal.
Oh, absolutely. There's also one every Saturday night out in Montgomery at 105. The 105 Cruisers put on. That's actually grown quite a bit as well. And you know, the first Sunday of every month out here in the Woodlands on the north side, the Woodlands Car Club puts on their monthly cruise in, TWCC as it's known. And that's always for charity. Every quarter the charity changes. This quarter it's Inspiration Ranch, which helps people heal using horses. So we did that last Sunday. And the day before that, we were over in Silsbee, Texas with the Wild Horse Mustang Club. They put on their fall car show, and that also benefits Stable Spirits, which is healing kids utilizing horses. So a lot of that going on out there. But the cruise-ins, like you say, Don, I mean, it's really grown and taken off quite well.
Well, you know,
no pressure.
If you remember back in the day, it was like, oh my gosh, well, I own a Chevrolet. I'd never go on a Mustang thing. I mean, they've got their own thing going on. But that's not so much the case anymore, is it?
No, it's not. Matter of fact, tomorrow, this MCAE club that we formed is the Montgomery County Automotive Enthusiast Show. We've got a Corvette Appreciation Day out at Papa's on the Lake. Starts at 11 a.m. and runs till whenever.
You know, it's funny.
Again, you just show up and get together. That's it.
and that's really what it's all about. It's about the camaraderie, talking about looking at everybody's cars. This thing that Craig has, I mean, it's not a model specific or make specific show.
It's not a judged show. It's a show up and show off kind of thing. You come and go as you please.
And meet some of the craziest, fun people to be around. And there was a guy that had an absolutely stunningly beautiful Camaro out at Craig's show last week. Sat there and talked to him for 20 minutes. Oh, yeah, well, I bought it this way. Really? Well, what kind of a paint? It was already painted. He says, I've done some touch-up work underneath the hood of the car in the engine compartment. He did a little stuff to the inside. But there are a lot of people like that. Then there are guys that have gone all out, done the whole car themselves, really proud of it, sitting in the lawn chair, sitting by the car, waiting for you to come talk to them.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, we've all got our stories to tell, and you get out there, and that's just a part of it. You enjoy the people. You know, it's the cars that bring us together, but after that, it's the people that develop friendships that last a lifetime.
And you know, it's funny because there was a Mustang there, and I don't know if Jeff was with me that day or not, but there was all this bracing up under the hood that actually came off of a point in the firewall up to the shock towers that I had never seen on a Mustang before. And he was telling me, oh, yeah, well, it's got this special suspension stuff on it. And he just utilized it, took it off, had it chrome plated, made it look really nice, but didn't really do any changes. I did not realize that there was a factory package for a 60s, I don't know what specific year it was, for a 60s Mustang. Learned something new.
Yeah. Yeah, the track pack back then, they had them.
I did not realize that. So, Randy, let's...
Is that what they called them, were track packs? I know some called them drag packs, but on the Mustang it was called a track pack?
No. Back then it was mostly known as the drag pack.
Drag pack, that's okay. That's
what open road course wasn't a thing back then. It was too expensive and too dangerous.
Oh, tell that to George Fulmer.
Who's George Fulmer?
He was the guy that was running the orange Mach 1 Boss 302 in the Trans Am series.
Okay.
And then they've since done one or two tribute cars to him. With the S197, I think they did a Fulmer tribute car as well. And then they've done them since. But it was there were two cars. It was Parsons. Was it Parsons?
Parsons was one of them.
Parsons and Fulmer ran these two orange 1970 Mustangs
I remember the
Trans Am
name,
series,
but I didn't connect it with the Mustang and road racing.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where the Boss 302, Z28 Camaro, the AAR Cuda, those were all really, that AAR Cuda I think was Swede Savage. Those are all really where the pony car went. Road racing was in the very original Trans Am series.
Yeah, instead of going off to the drag strip, they were more into the sports car road racing world.
Well, I have to. So how many Shelbys do you have in Northside Mustangs?
Oh gosh,
I don't know. There's a lot of Shelbys in the club.
Really,
very popular car.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're more rare than I realized. I just figured, it's a Shelby, no big deal. But they're really special cars, aren't they, Randy?
They are a special car, special built car, factory race car. Actually now they're a factory race car.
Yeah. And do you have any new Shelbys? Any members of your club that have new Shelbys?
Oh, David Dilly has just got a brand new, I guess it's still called Grabber Orange, that he got it and just ran it last weekend. So, yes, we've got the new ones out there as well.
Oh, that's cool. And is it mainly old guys like us that are in the club, or do you have any new blood in there?
Now, there's a lot of young people that are coming into the club. A lot of folks that love working on their cars, modifying them if they can't afford, the $60,000, $70,000 for the factory race cars. So, we've got a very wide range of people from younger to older.
Do you still have those boring club meetings?
Oh, gosh.
The club meetings have been very tough to pull together. I know that Northside Mustang Club right now is looking for a venue that can hold 50 or so people. And, the question is, when you have a meeting with the COVID thing going around, would you get 50 people to actually come out?
Right.
And it's a dart throw. You don't know.
And the best way kind of to meet is to go to an outdoor drive your car in.
Well, that's what I was headed
but
toward.
It's not going to be more.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an official conversation about the activities of the club, but ultimately everybody that's there talks about the activities of the club.
You can say, here's our club meeting. It's going to be at this parking lot. It's going to be
But
at this
what?
time.
I don't want to know about the minutes. I don't want to know about the minutes of the dang
You got to have
meeting.
a little bit of business to deal with.
Oh, good.
It's the way you write it off.
Yeah, right. Well, this thing tomorrow at Papa's on the Lake, and I don't know if you've ever been to that venue, but it's open on all sides.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you pull up, you're right on the lake, it's open on all sides. So the thing we're having tomorrow with the Corvette Appreciation Day is for the Corvette guys to come out, but it's for the other club members, the Mustang owners, the Camaro owners, for everybody to get out there and just get to know each other.
Well, it's the
get
fellowship.
some food, get some drink, just enjoy each other. Yeah, there's no meeting or anything like that per se. It's just a get together to get to know each other.
That's the kind of stuff.
It's not restricted to Corvettes, but it's to see the Corvettes, that they're a special invite to the Corvette owners, but everybody's welcome to come out.
Just to kind of highlight them, MCAE, the Montgomery County Automotive Enthusiast Club, is open to all makes and models. So we're not restricted to anybody. We want the Mopar guys. We want the GM people. We want everybody out there. I know we've got some Camaro people coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, you
They're
want a
coming
car
over from
club,
Katy.
just bring in all the cars.
Well, Randy,
That's right.
it's always great to talk to you and get caught up on Northside Mustang and all these other clubs as well.
Including your shirt there, if people haven't read it yet, the Randy Weldon, National Director of the Mustang Club of America.
Yes, thank you. That's. I'm still on that national board. Hopefully, I'll get reelected when I run again next year.
Well, we'll vote for you.
Yeah. Well, hey, please do.
I hear
Hey,
the
let me
Russians are trying to help get you elected.
Well, that along with all the mail-in votes, and the stuff they found in the ditch. But let me mention real quick, Don, before we hop off. I know you're on a time limit here, but on October 17th, the Mustang Club of Houston has their fall show at Randall Reed Ford in Spring, Texas.
Yes.
October 24th, MCAE has their fall show at Papa's on the Lake, and that will benefit the food bank. Then on November 7th, Northside Mustang Car Club has their fall show at the Outlet Mall, which will benefit the Honor Flight of Houston.
I sure am glad you could remember all that stuff because I couldn't.
I've got it written down right here below the camera.
Gotcha. So where can we get a hold of you? What's the easiest way?
If you go to MCAE or Montgomery County Automotive Enthusiast Facebook page, that's the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Randy, we love you. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet. In Will Time continues with Jeff's Pre-Owned Car of the Week. Yes, we do have a segment for pre-owners, and we would love to have you join us, and it's going to come your way right after this.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You're on the In Will Time Car Show on this Saturday, and we sure appreciate you joining us today. Time now for our pre-owned. We don't call them used cars anymore, do we?
No, pre-owned vehicles. It's time for Jeff's point of view.
Yes, and it's always fun because we get to talk. Or
JPOV.
POV.
JPOV.
JPOV.
We need more Jeff.
We always need
Somebody
more.
keeps writing that on the Facebook page.
It's Jeff, and I want to thank you for that, Jeff.
So our pre-owned car of the week this week is going to be the 2015 Dodge Charger, very popular model.
Dodge Charger SXT.
Okay.
Now, something in researching this is going to take a while. I may need like an hour to explain this, but there is an SE, an SXT, an RT, an RT Road and Track, an RT Scat Pack, an SRT 392, an SRT Hellcat or Heckcat, SE, SEXT offer in all-wheel drive. So
let's just settle on the SXT.
Yeah, pick your poison on that one.
Exactly. The one I did was a V6. It is a 292 horsepower vehicle, 260 pound-feet of torque. And, of course, with the V8, you've got 485 horsepower minimum. And then, of course, it gets into the 700s and so on with the Hellcats and the Scat Packs. And
is that's it
stuff.
Going down the assembly line right back there, wasn't
I think
it?
that's a little different. So, nevertheless, while we get that figured out,
no, when Mars gets that figured out, he's over there going, I don't know what to do.
Mars is pushing buttons, going, what am I doing here?
Right.
That's it. There it is, going down the assembly line.
That is actually a Scat Pack. Just kidding, it is not.
But the SXT is kind of their biggest volume model. The others are all kind of more.
Right, and some of the changes that they had in this particular year were front-end changes. There's cosmetic things with fascia and fog lights and spoilers and air dams and things like that, which are very cool, and it's brought into the nowadays with the newer models and so on. 8-speed transmission, which gives us between a 19 city and a 31 highway on the mileage.
Not bad.
Not bad. Combined,
this is the V6.
The V6, yes.
Yeah. It's got, what, 300 horsepower?
Just short of.
292, yeah.
And that 8-speed transmission is a ZF.
There it is.
So it's a German-built transmission,
and it's got good room, good leg room inside. In the transmission and then the engine combination is a smooth ride.
Yeah.
It's just as smooth as Christy Yamaguchi skating backwards on some fresh ice.
It's Yamaguchi, not Yamaduchi.
Yeah,
but that's close enough.
Okay, 16.5 feet in the trunk, so it's all good.
See, it was Tara Lipinski was the Houston native.
Okay, and there's
Let's
the
talk
interior.
about Tara Lipinski, but we don't care about the car.
We've lost control. But I do love the interior. It's got a great shape to
It's got the
interior.
center pod. It's got the T-shift handle. It's got all the functions on the steering wheel, much like all the new ones do now as well. So
really hasn't changed that much.
No, it really hasn't. I think your daughter's got one. What year is your daughter?
No, she's got a Challenger.
Yeah, she's got a 15.
But it's a shared platform. Challenger
Correct.
and Charger, they share the platform, just 2 less doors.
Right. And it's a good car. It's a really neat car. Competitive would be the Impala and the SSs in that category.
No, it's not.
Comparative, yeah, size-wise.
Yeah, but this is a traditional rear-wheel drive vehicle
Exactly.
where the others in the class tend to all be front-wheel drive vehicles.
Correct.
There's not a lot of rear drive vehicles available on market right now.
Well, and you talk about platforming and look at all the other ones that it sits on that platform with the Hellcats and Scat Packs and things. So it's a good little vehicle. They're very popular.
And it's kind of held its value in the market that it doesn't really depreciate very fast.
Correct.
After the purchase.
And
how much does something like that go for?
Well, this one in particular, it wasn't in any accidents or anything. It had about 90,000 miles on it, and it was right around $12,000.
With 90,000 miles, that's actually.
I was just going to say that's really held its value well.
It did hold its value.
I read a story just this week that used car values have gone up on average, $1,200 in the past few months.
Yeah, the pre-owned vehicles, especially certified pre-owns, they're taking up. They got a premium on them.
Well, and some of the reason for that is that loss of production because of. The loss of production because of COVID, and that the used cars have to be filling that gap. So they're appreciating it. They're almost appreciating in value. That same used car is higher in value,
and the incentives for the new vehicles kind of went away.
Because
not as
it's
many
all
out there.
Incentives is somewhat driven by inventory.
Right.
So high inventory equals high incentives, and now the inventory is pretty low. so they're not going to be throwing a lot of money on.
And the other thing too that I was doing some research on this week is the fact that a lot of the manufacturers had their assembly line shut down for almost 3 months in some form or another.
Well, we saw one earlier.
Yes, we did. That one was shut down a few decades ago, maybe 120 years ago. But nobody thinks about the suppliers because really car manufacturers these days are really not manufacturers of the cars, they're assemblers.
Correct.
And so all of these other companies that make the parts for the cars to be assembled at the factory, those people laid off a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're actually behind the curve on all of this. So now it's taking even longer to get cars off the assembly line because everybody else is trying to play catch up.
And the thing about vehicle assembly, once you get inside of it, they do all this just-in-time inventory.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, they don't want to carry, 60 days worth of inventory because they don't want to stock it. So train comes in, they unload the train, and within a couple of hours, that product those assemblies are going on the assembly line.
There's a cost involved too. You've got that head of lettuce sitting on the shelf, not necessarily rotting, but you've got all that extra inventory that you've got capital put into that you're not doing anything
spending
with.
Anywhere else. Yeah,
exactly.
So this whole change in vehicle manufacture back in the 60s, 70s, and more so in the 80s and 90s with just-in-time inventory is compounding the delay in filling dealer lots. You go out today and drive around, look at all these dealers' lots, and to a large degree, they are relatively empty. They're parking them in ways so it looks like there's a lot of vehicles there, but there's not.
And if you've got a vehicle that you want to have reviewed, let me know, Jeff@inwheeltime.com. Looking for an Aston Martin Vantage. To review.
Any of those, yeah.
So,
hey, we'd love to hear your comments or questions. Our email address is info@inwheeltime.com. A splash and go, and we'll be back with This Week in Auto History coming up just now.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Advance Auto Parts and CarQuest present the Boobs Rock Powder Puff Race. Saturday night, October 17th at Houston Motorsports Park. Gates open at 5. The green flag waves at 6. Wear a mask. Social distancing and sanitizer rules. Enjoy $1 hot dogs and $1 beer. $5 discount ticket info online at NASCARHouston.com. Saturday night, October 17th. Gates at 5. Racing at 6. Houston Motorsports Park. All car classes, including the Boobs Rock Powder Puff Race, supporting breast cancer awareness. It's the last race of the season. Boobs Rock. Don't miss it. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Show coming to you from Studio A in Houston, Texas, USA. Thanks for joining us today. Time now for This Week in Auto History. Conrad has that.
Well, this week in auto history, Ford introduced a continuously moving assembly line to build chassis in its Highland Park production facility.
I got a feeling we got some video on that somewhere.
Well, yeah, we've got, I don't know if it's video, but we have still pictures.
Whatever. I don't think they had video back then.
Previously, what they did...
Wait, I thought that was a 2015 Dodge Challenger.
No, not quite. No, these all Model Ts, what they ended up doing was basically putting them on an assembly line, and the car would move from station to station. And they went from like 120 different stations that the people would move to the car to build the car. Now they lowered the head count of the people, and in 29 stations they could build a car. And it went from taking about 12 and a half hours to build a vehicle. Now they could build a vehicle in 93 minutes, 93 man minutes. And there was a point in time where, because of all the vehicles they had there, a new Model T was rolling off the assembly line every 24 seconds.
Jeez.
So, and then in 1926, the Duesenberg Company was incorporated into the Auburn Cord Company, and that's when Frederick and August Duesenberg began working on E.L. Cord's dream car, and that's a picture of it there, which is the 1935 Cord.
Old E.L.
What was called the coffin nose car. We talked about, we had seen one of those down at Woody's a couple of weeks ago, a black one. You know, you got to think of how creative that car was. It was front-wheel drive, supercharged, hideaway headlights, all of that way back in the 30s. In 1961, the United Auto Workers called for the first company-wide strike against Ford Motor Company, and that was the first company-wide strike they had put on since they started UAW in 1941. After nearly 20 years of domination in 1983 of British racer Richard Noble, he set his new land speed record in the car you see here, which is called the Thrust 2. It had a 17,000-pound Rolls-Royce jet engine in it, and it reset the record to 633 miles an hour in Nevada's Black Rock Desert, not Bonneville. And I think they've learned that the flooring, the ground is a little more stable in the Black Rock Desert because Bonneville has been having through the years, has been having some issues with water and the salt having problems with that. And when they reset that record, the record was 13 years old, and they reset the record that Gary Gabelich had set, the Blue Flame, in the 1970. And then in 1992, Denny Hulme was a New Zealand race car driver, very, very famous one. He actually won the 1967 Formula One World Championship. Well, while he was driving this BMW...
That BMW looks like something...
it's an M3 from 1992 M3.
That looks like something that was photoshopped or something odd. There's something odd about that picture.
No, that's just a picture.
That's the real car?
And
a Matchbox car.
In the Australian supercar series, he was driving that at the Bradhurst 1000 and actually had a heart attack while he was driving the car down the back straight at 200 miles an hour or 200 kilometers per hour, and pulled the vehicle over to a stop, didn't hit anything, and passed away on track. But they really talk about,
what a way to go.
How he died doing exactly what he wanted to do and never put anybody in danger doing it. So by the time the track crew got to him, he'd already passed. And that's a picture of him. Very, very famous racer from back in the 80s and 90s.
I had sideburns like that one time.
Right across the middle of your head.
There's that. A couple of headlines making stories this week. Honda Motor Company said last week that it has confirmed a 17th U.S. death tied to a faulty airbag inflator made by now defunct Japanese safety product supplier Takata. Friends, no. All you got to do is go to safercar.gov, type in your car's VIN number, which, by the way, is on your insurance card, and type that in there and find out whether your car has a recall. If it's got a recall and you haven't taken care of it, please do that.
And some recalls have been recalled again because...
with the airbags.
With the airbags. They're on like generation 8 or 9 of them.
Here's something that's kind of scary. This story came across Automotive News this morning. Half of U.S. fire departments have no protocols in place to fight fires that break out in the growing number of battery-powered vehicles on the road. Where's Buzz when we need to have a good argument? According to accident investigators, only a quarter of fire departments have dedicated training for fighting blazes involving EVs, according to the survey released Wednesday by NHTSA, National Highway Transportation Safety Board.
They're actually pretty active on trying to train on new technology. I remember back in the late 80s and early 90s, I used to go out to the firefighter training facility out in Katy, and I was teaching them about airbags, how to disable airbag systems and how to deal with them, and I actually used to blow some off for them so they can kind of see what was going on because they were all scared to death of them.
Well,
now they don't even think twice about it, so they'll come up with some protocols for dealing with electric vehicles.
And GM plans to reveal its long-anticipated Hummer electric pickup truck during Game 1 of baseball's World Series on October 20th. I had a friend say to me yesterday, I've already seen it. Really? Okay. GM, after a nearly 10-year hiatus from the Hummer name, because of what a horrible vehicle that was.
I loved them. I love the H2s.
But that five-cylinder engine sucked.
That was the H3. The H3 was basically a Chevy Colorado.
It was just terrible.
But the H2s were cool.
Well, they're going to start production of the EV under the GM brand in the fall of 2021, according to a promotional video. The vehicle will be revealed globally at 7 o'clock Central Time during the World Series on Fox.
And I was talking to somebody at General Motors, and they're going to do a special edition called the David Ainsley.
I think that's perfect. I wish that he could hear that. Okay, we got more of our show coming up right after this.
If Baby could talk, she'd say a lot. You'd know what she's thinking and what makes her happy. But unfortunately, Baby can't talk or remind you you're the one taking her to daycare today, and she won't speak up if you drive straight to work like any other day and never think to look in the backseat. Every year, dozens of kids die from heat stroke in cars. No one is perfect, so set a reminder and always look before you lock. Where's Baby? Paid for by NHTSA.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching in real time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Real Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the award-winning In Wheel Time Car Show. This week, inside our new car showroom, the Chrysler Pacifica and the CT4 from Cadillac. We'll give you in-depth reviews of each. We also got this week's automotive news, Conrad's Car Clinic, This Week in Auto History, more than that as well. Just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, October 10th, 2020. Howdy. Along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin just off camera. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us on this Saturday. And we have a special guest that has joined us now via Zoom, and her name is Michelle Reniger, and she is with the Texas Short Track Racing Series. She is a pro truck driver. Hi, it's good to see you, even though it's on Zoom and not in person this time. How are you?
Hi, Don. How are you?
Well, we're doing great over here, and we're so glad that you could join us. I see the truck is right behind you there. You know, I've been kind of keeping tabs on you during the race since, well, no.
Since he's the pace car driver and he doesn't want to pull out there because of you.
No, that's possible. But I will say that, you know, it's been a struggle for you. And you actually came around here in the past couple of races, haven't you?
Right, Don. We had a slow start. We ran into some issues in the beginning of the season, 2020. But we finally got it to where it was fast and it was raceable. And I was having a lot of fun these last couple of races. So we're getting it close.
Well, and that's got to be exciting for you because, after the struggles that you had and now here we are at the end of the season and you finally got it together. Kind of frustrating, isn't it?
Right. It's kind of bittersweet. I just got it to where it was actually getting fun and I was up at the front of the pack and now the season's almost over. So, we're really going to make the last race count and just try to get that truck back up to the front and kind of make up, I guess, for lost time. So
for the people that really are not familiar with the Pro Truck Series out there at Houston Motorsports Park, give us a little background on the truck. What kind of engine does it have in it?
This truck has a 602 crate 350 in it. It's a Silverado fiberglass body. The chassis, Stephen Davis built it. So some are a little bit different, but that's what I have right now for this season.
And these trucks are really kind of modeled after the NASCAR Truck Series. Am I correct?
I believe so. There's quite a bit of differences, but I believe so.
Well, I know that they're really popular and they're really, really fast. And it's a huge hit with the crowd out there at Houston Motorsports Park. Have you noticed the increase in the people in the stands throughout the season? Did you notice, last race 2 weeks ago, man, I was really impressed by the number of people there. Weren't you?
I was. It was packed. And I thought the weather might deter people away. But, I guess race fans are kind of willing to make the trip no matter what. But, yeah, the fans have been amazing. The stands have been packed. And even the little intermission fan goodies that Gina does, it just really gets the crowd excited. And it's a fun stand right now.
Well, I have to tell you that I have fun doing the winter interviews because, I think that there's a screw loose that's been that way for all my life. Yeah. And so I have a lot of fun with it, and the crowd. As a matter of fact, the cone boy, Caden the cone boy. I mean, he actually gets applause when the cone gets put out there. And why don't you explain the how the cone thing works during a race?
Yeah, how does the cone boy work?
Sure. So the cone gives an opportunity for you to switch your position. If you want to take the outside, want to take the inside, you can have the opportunity to jump 5 spots. If everybody stays low to the cone and you go outside, you could find yourself moving up the pack real quick. Yeah, Caden's awesome. I remember back at our other track, they had fans that would wear cones on their head. And that's how excited people get for the cone. But it's also exciting, too, for fans to see a truck go from the back and move all the way to the front and just kind of mix it up with the guys up there. So it makes the race a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and that's the fun thing about the short track racing series out at Houston Motorsports Park. You guys are bringing real NASCAR racing to Houston at a very affordable price and a very, very competitive series.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it gives us an opportunity to do that. Not everybody has the money to travel and to make some of the larger tracks. So it kind of gives what last Texans an opportunity to race asphalt. And it's not that far for us, and it is affordable.
Well,
I mean, it's expensive, but it's affordable.
Well, yes, it's affordable for the fans. I wanted to add one thing. I don't know whether you saw it last week. As a matter of fact, I think it was Caden. I was standing out next to him. He says, "Did you see the wave in the stand?" I said, "What?" And I look up there, and people are doing the wave. I haven't seen the wave since the Astrodome days. I mean, it was tons of fun, and I think everybody really enjoyed it. The really fun thing about Houston Motorsports Park in the series that Gina Child-Knowles runs out there is the fact that it goes quickly, it's well organized, the racing starts at 6 o'clock, and most of the time, unless there's some major mess up with rain or something going on, you're out of there in 3.5 hours. And I think the fans really are attracted to that, get you home in time to go to church the next day. I mean, it's really got it together. It moves along.
And it's very, very competitive racing at each level. It's very competitive racing, and we want to invite everybody to go on out and see it because it's well worth your time and effort to support that.
So who's behind you with the truck?
It's just me in the garage right now. In about 10 minutes, it'll be my dad, and we'll probably get working on it as well.
Well, see, and that's kind of where I was going with this, because I think it's your dad that's kind of like the pit crew and the whole actual force behind the truck besides the driver, right?
Right. My dad is our crew chief, and he's in here all the time, just messing with little things, trying to get it faster. But my sister is my spotter, and her boyfriend is also part of the pit crew. And you can't forget Mom. Mom's there too.
Mom's in charge, probably.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, Dad's in here all the time trying to make this truck. Any little thing, he's behind it.
All right. Well, I want you to hang on. We're going to take a quick break, and I want to talk to you about the actual responsibilities of the spotter and how important that is, because I know from listening to the race director on the headset that there are times that it can get kind of tense with some of the spotters up there. You tell that driver and that blah, blah, blah that he needs to go to the back of the field, otherwise he is out of here, that kind of thing. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, so let's talk about that right after this.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
As America gets back on the road, a lot of things have changed, but not the need for drivers to be safe. With that in mind, it's time to review our safe driving checklist. First, you're in your car.
Check.
You're sober.
Check.
You're wearing your seatbelt.
Check.
Your phone is put away.
Check.
Great. Make sure you follow the speed limit. And remember, law enforcement is enforcing traffic safety laws in our community to save lives. Paid for by NHTSA.
Welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. We're talking to Michelle Reniger. She's the pro truck driver out at Houston Motorsports Park. And do you ever go to any other venues, Michelle?
7, the dirt track a couple of times, and that's a little bit different from the asphalt one, but and then also went to Five Flags a few years ago, which that was exciting to go for the snowball derby.
So you take the same truck to a dirt track and just retire it and make some adjustments in it?
I've only attended those as a spectator. The truck has only been at Kyle, the track there, but in Houston right now.
So where are you located? Where are you physically talking to us from?
We're in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay. San Antonio. So you make the trip over here all the way. Have you been to that track down in Pensacola? I hear about it.
We went to watch the snowball derby a few years ago, but we flew.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So that's where the snowball derby is, at that Pensacola track.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well,
so when y'all get ready to come over here on Fridays, I guess Friday or Saturday morning, so you were talking about your sister, the boyfriend, the mom, dad, y'all kind of load up the whole family.
Right. We pack it all in, and we load on during the week, and we head up early Friday morning to make the Friday practice, and then stay there until Saturday. So yeah, the whole family comes, which makes for a fun weekend.
Well, I
makes for a long weekend as well. So do you guys come in a motorhome, or do you guys stay at a hotel and deal with the car at the track?
We stay at the Holiday Inn. That's only about 15 minutes from there. So
well, make sure you tell them that you mentioned them here. Maybe they'll give you some free rooms now.
Yeah, exactly. So what are you looking forward to next Saturday night, the last race of the season? Have you made any changes? What have you done to the truck in the past couple of weeks?
So the truck didn't look like this when we got it back after the last race.
Yeah, I thought that there was a little bump and grind out there.
There's some on that fender right there off of your left shoulder. You can kind of see where somebody's been doing some rubbing.
Right. Yeah, we got into the wall, and it bent some things. It tore off some fenders, but we got it back together. So next race, we're gonna go out Friday to make sure everything feels the same, nothing's too messed up, and then hopefully be right back where we were after the last one, where we felt the truck was competitive and fast. And I really want to make the last race count. I want to prove that this truck and myself have it in me to get in the front and stay up there.
Okay, I want to know about spotters. And you know, you hear the spotter, the NASCAR races, every once in a while you'll hear them on the radio talking to the driver. How important is the spotter to you?
The spotter is huge, and luckily it's my sister and my best friend, and we have this connection, my dad calls it, where we just work together. And the spotter, she's great, obviously telling me if there's a truck on the inside or the outside and letting me know where I need to be. But most importantly, throughout the race, Kelly really motivates me, and she tells me to keep digging and to fight harder. And that's just huge to have that in my ear the whole race.
That's really cool. So, in other words, if you're trying to get around, let's say you're fighting for the first place, and you've got that first place truck right in front of you, and she's saying, okay, you need to go low on the next corner, and you get alongside, and so there's a point that you're probably not going to be able to see that competitor next to you. You're focused on the track and trying to get around it. So is she in your ear saying, you still got somebody on the outside of you, you need to stay low, that sort of thing?
She's constantly in my ear, and I told her the more you tell me, the better. And she's telling me, still outside, or, you know, they're looking, and she's all my eyes on the track. So that's good. And where the spotters stand, it's nice too. She can have a view of the track to see maybe if they're running a high line, maybe I can get low, maybe they're coming off a little bit different. So she helps me figure out, I guess, the plan of attack if I ever need to pass somebody.
How did she get her experience?
My sister used to race too. We both started out in the mini stocks, the eco stocks that are out there right now. We both started out doing that, and we raced together in there for a few years. So she moved up and started racing the super stocks and the outlaws, but now we're just focusing on the truck, and she came over and helped me work on the truck and spot for me.
So who was faster when you were both running in the same class?
Well, I'm going to say I was faster.
Of course. We knew that.
So I want to know. I want to know what Dad's doing this entire time, sitting up in the stands, biting his fingernails.
Dad watches from the infield, and he stands in the back of the truck, and we laugh because we think we need to bungee cord him to the top so he doesn't fall off, because he's pacing and just watching, and he's all excited.
All right. So next Saturday night, you've got to introduce. I don't think I've met your dad.
I don't think so.
Well,
maybe if we win, you'll meet him on the French Street.
Well, no.
When you win.
Yeah,
when you win.
I'll definitely have to seek him out, because obviously he's kind of like the motivator behind this race team, huh?
Yeah, definitely. He kind of keeps it all together. He keeps my head in the game on race day, but also is involved in getting tires and getting everything on the truck that is ready to go. So
I would assume that Dad actually raced at some point in his life.
Dad started out racing with his brothers at San Antonio Speedway, and all of them raced. And he actually raced a little bit, and that's where me and Kelly got into it. We were his spotter and working on his car. So he hung it up for a little bit so me and Kelly could race. So he might come back into it, but right now it's just me.
Well, how cool is that?
Yeah, it is very cool. Well, Michelle, it's great to talk to you, and we want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your Saturday to join us here on the In Wheel Time Show. And we look forward to seeing you again. I'm going to hunt you down before the race on next Saturday evening, and so be looking for me out there, okay?
All right, will do. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon. Michelle Reniger with the Texas Short Track Racing Series. She's one of the pro truck drivers out there. And that's one of the best looking trucks out there. I've meant to mention that to her, but just thought I would throw that in. Okay. It's time now for another break, I think. And we're going to have our new car review. So we invite you to stay tuned. I got so involved in the conversation and kind of lost.
It was
I lost my place.
Yeah, you just want to keep talking to her.
Yeah, exactly. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so we should all stay home to lower the risk for everyone. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, thanks for joining us for today's In Wheel Time car show. We have a car review every hour, and Mr. Mars has this hour, the Chrysler Pacifica. And before you get going on this, I just want to let everybody know I am a big minivan fan. I've never owned one in my life, but as far as a people mover is concerned, there is nothing better on the road than a minivan. And what other minivan is there other than the Chrysler Pacifica? I mean, I can't even imagine.
Well, and it's not just a people mover. It's just the versatility of it. In fact,
correct.
Chrysler actually calls it a multi-purpose vehicle instead of calling it a minivan now.
All right.
Because you can use it for so many different things. The one that we had, I had one, and it was one of the Chrysler products. And it was great because we were doing a lot of freelance work at the time. We could lift the back of it up, and it provided shade when it was sunny. It provided the place dry. And it was a really great place for my wife to entertain wives and girlfriends while I was tied up their boyfriend or husband shooting pictures of their truck. Now, so what we're really talking about is a 2020 Chrysler.
Don't go there, Don. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. No.
Okay, I'll just leave it alone. All right.
We're talking about the 2020 Chrysler Pacifica and Limited. There's 4 trims to this vehicle. It's a Touring, a Touring L, a Touring L Plus, and the Limited, which is the top of the line, and that's the one we have. Now, just as a point of reference, they've actually been making the minivan since 1983, and globally, they've sold 14.6 million of these vehicles.
It saved Chrysler Corporation.
A bunch of times, I'm sure. Now, they first started building the Pacifica in 2016. I didn't realize that it was actually that old. It just seems like it's pretty new because of all the way they update it.
You're old.
And keep it technologically updated, and it just seems really new because it's got the up front. You're going to find that it's got dual grill openings with the upper opening having the winged Chrysler logo that goes out into the headlights that are part of the body lines. It's a very stylish thing that everybody's doing now with high-intensity headlamps, rain-sensing wipers up front. It's got low-profile roof rails. I'll get it spit out here in a minute. Power liftgate. And it's got a triplane panoramic sunroof. In other words, it's a 3-piece sunroof.
Oh, gosh.
And it's standard.
Don doesn't even like one.
But it's standard. It's not even an option.
Oh, is it really?
You're going to get it. On the limited package, you're getting it whether you like it or not.
Listen, I know all about that.
And we were also rolling on the optional 20-inch aluminum wheels, which makes a nice package to it. Now, the only thing you could really do to kind of spiff that up a little bit would be to step up to the S model, which is a sport package, and it's basically a blacked out. But now they've got a new red S model out. I haven't seen it yet, but I would think that it was probably okay. And you get into the interior. Now, this is really where a minivan or a multi-purpose vehicle that Chrysler calls it really shines. We had the premium leather seating. The front seats were heated and ventilated. The second row was heated. The third row is power folding. And the second and the third row fold down into the floorboard so that it's a big, wide open place. You can put plywood in there. You can put sheetrock in there. You can put camera gear in there. You can put a little bit of everything in there in that cargo space. Now, the great thing about driving it, it has the active noise control system. It had the 8.4-inch Uconnect screen up in the dash. It had the 10-inch video screens on the back seats so that the rear passengers have got their own video screens and they run off a wireless headphone so you can keep that quietness going on. You got Blu-ray, USB, HDMI inputs, all this technology in this vehicle for passengers. I mean, that's really what this is about, is keeping everybody happy and going. And it has the stow and vac integrated vacuum system in it that'll actually work.
That doesn't suck. I guess it does.
Yeah, I guess it does. Yes, it does. Now, to keep this thing powered and rolling down the road, you got a 3.6-liter Pentastar V6. Now, that is the base engine that Chrysler uses across.
That's the workhorse.
That's the workhorse, and that's the one you're going to get, and it's going to be backed with a 9-speed automatic transmission. It's a great combination. You don't feel a lot of shifting. It doesn't do a lot of searching. Now, the EPA says in the city you should be looking for 19, the highway 28, and you get a combined 22. And this vehicle, it'll do whatever you want to do. You want to step it out there on the highway and you want to go way too fast, it'll do that. And I actually, the week that I had it, I got the 22 because it was a nice little driver. You drive it a little bit easier. It's not a sports car. And it easily moves around in traffic.
You didn't do the on-ramp acceleration test?
Nah, it was just too much fun. I was being cool, kicked back. Like I said, I had one of these before and I really liked it. Particularly, and with the Pacifica Limited, you just feel like you're in a little more upscale. And a nice, quiet ride, smooth cruiser. If you're looking for something to compare it to, I think you can still find a Honda Odyssey and maybe something over in the Nissan and Toyota world. But if you're looking for a minivan, the thing that's going to come to mind is going to be Chrysler.
Exactly.
And the Limited, the Pacifica is the one that they're doing. You can get it in a hybrid model, and you can get it in, like I say, 4 different trim levels. It's going to do just about anything you want.
And all the other domestics have abandoned the mini car market.
Pretty much,
Ford and GM don't have a minivan anymore.
Well, yeah, they've gone in a different world in a lot of things. So if you're looking for the base Pacifica that we had, the base Limited is $44,445.
It ain't cheap.
It's not cheap, but again,
it's loaded. It's loaded.
And we're talking about a lot of technology with a surround sound the surround parking view. I mean, if Chrysler's got technology. It's in this vehicle,
sure,
and it's here. Now, the MSRP is tested was $50,720 for if you're going across country
The
with the
ultimate
family,
limo.
the family Wagoneer. You're
The
going to
family-
Wally
it's
World,
the
load it
family
up.
Truckster.
Family Truckster.
Oh, gosh. It was about the same color as your shirt, too.
Yeah. But, and like I say, you can get a sport model. The S has
Do
got
they have-
blacked out.
Do they,
You can
offer,
get it out.
do they offer wood paneling on the side?
No, but I know a shop that'll do that for you.
What a hoot that would be.
I'm telling you.
$50,000 and then go get some of that wood stuff.
paneling, put on,
vinyl.
just like it's still in the crate, just like you just got it. Anyway.
Thank you, sir.
It's the one to have.
All right, let's take a look at the national and international TV race calendar. And Conrad usually takes care of that.
Okay, so tomorrow morning, Formula One's going to be on. The Eiffel
at 1 o'clock in the morning?
No,
or something?
I think it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
And that's the Eiffel Grand Prix, and it's going to be at the Nürburgring. NASCAR is going to be on Sunday at the Charlotte Roval, which is the road course at Charlotte. But they're also being joined, and this is going to be tonight at 7 o'clock Houston time on NBC Sports, and that's going to be IMSA. The sports car racing, and I believe Alec Udell is in the GTD car there. So they're also going to be at the Charlotte Roval.
Roval.
Kind of, it's an oval and a road course.
Yeah,
a Roval.
I've never heard of it.
Well, they made it up just to make it
technical
unique.
race term or something.
Next weekend, NHRA is at Ennis, and I think next weekend they're going to run the second and third and fourth rounds of Pro Stock because they dropped Pro Stock
because of the weather
in Chicago because of the crosswind had created way too much
that
trouble.
and the temperature.
Yeah,
nuts.
So they're gonna I believe they're gonna finish the Chicago race in Ennis, and then on the 25th.
That wasn't Chicago. That was St. Louis.
I'm sorry, I say Madison. Yeah, it's St. Louis. Madison, Illinois. Well, Illinois to me is Chicago. No, you're right. It was St. Louis.
Thank God it's not.
I'm in the wrong state. And then, you might want to join us out there on the 25th of October out at Baytown.
It'll be 24th.
24th and 25th. 24th and 25th?
Well, yes, but 24th is the Saturday.
That's when we'll be there.
Yeah, correct.
And that's going to be great. They're going to be letting fans in, and you get a chance to get back out to the NHRA events. It's fun to have them back. And then NASCAR, they're coming up to the end of their season as well between the Charlotte Roval, Kansas, Fort Worth, and then finally in Las Vegas for the season ender.
All right, thank you, sir. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict, just to name a few. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this.
Do you know what teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. You're on the award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, your weekly go-to all things automotive place, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, and Jeff Zekin is right off camera. I'm Don Armstrong. Hey, thanks so much for joining us for our live broadcast, or if you're listening on a podcast, we thank you for tuning in. By the way, our live broadcast is on Saturdays from 9:30 a.m. until 12 noon. Just wanted to throw that in. All right, well, we've got a great guest. We tried to get him on last week, had a little technical difficulty on
our end.
But on his end, he's all about Seth Angel, Houston Raceway Park, and NHRA Spring Nationals. What spring? Wait a minute, this is fall. What a jacked up year this has been.
Yeah, well, we're just excited that we're going to be able to go racing here in a couple weeks in Houston.
Amen.
a really wild year for everyone. And so I think over the next couple of weeks, and certainly the weekend of the 23rd through the 25th, we'll have some normalcy, and we'll see some NHRA Camping World NHRA Championship drag racing.
Yeah, Camping World. How about that mess with Coca-Cola saying goodbye? And, man, they didn't waste any time getting Camping World on board, did they?
No, and I think it's just a testament to the strength of the NHRA and the brand and the product, and to certainly everyone, I think, was disappointed to see Coca-Cola step away in the manner that they did, but then to follow that up literally within a matter of less than a week's time with another partner in Camping World just shows you how strong the product is at NHRA, and obviously we look forward to delivering some really high-powered championship drag racing to the folks at Camping World and Marcus Lemonis, and we'll be ready.
And Camping World's done a real good job in its past with other motorsports series, so they're going to do nothing but really boost up what NHRA is doing as they finish out this year and move into next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're no stranger to motorsports, and we're just excited to welcome them on board, and can't wait to show them how we do things in Houston at Houston Raceway Park. And we're ready for them.
Well, you do such a good job out there, Seth, and I wanted to tell everybody that Seth and I talked, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he's invited us to come back out there and do our broadcast from there, and we're really looking forward to that. But
Thank you.
It's going to be a little bit different this year than it has in the past. First of all, the racing itself is different. Sportsman on Friday, but sportsman only on Friday, and then 2 rounds of qualifying for the pros on Saturday, and then eliminations on Sunday. Very different.
No, it is. It's going to look different. It's going to feel a little bit different. As you mentioned, professional qualifying takes place on Saturday. 2 rounds, as you mentioned, with racing on Sunday. So every round is important, more so now than ever. But, the great thing is, especially for our fans, is that there's going to be, racing action throughout the entire weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there's a lot to do, a lot to see. And, just looking before we jumped on, I was looking at the extended forecast, and I think we're going to see some really spectacular on-track performance throughout the weekend. Conditions are looking, this cool weather really makes these cars produce unbelievable amount of horsepower. And so I think we'll see that translate into some incredible time slips on the scoreboard.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. So, Seth, how are you dealing with the COVID thing out there in a public event like this? How does that work? I mean, it's got to be a total pain for you to be able to comply with social distancing, hand sanitizer, all that. I know you got it covered, but how have you been dealing with that, and how have you been preparing the track for that?
Yeah, well, from the very start of the pandemic, and as things were kind of unfolding, and the reality of the situation was becoming very clear, we were very aggressive early on in communicating and contacting our local and state officials on what we could do, what we couldn't do. And so we're very fortunate in the fact that we live in this great state of Texas, and we've got an incredible governor in Governor Greg Abbott, and his understanding that businesses need to be open, but we've got to do it in the right way. And so at Houston Raceway Park, we'll be opening at 50% of our normal capacity. And as a result, there's going to be some different protocols in place for our fans. We're going to ask that they wear masks when they enter the facility, and when they're inside any of the common areas. But when they get to their seat in the grandstand, or they're with their group that they arrive with, we're not going to force the mask upon the fans when they're in their seats watching their racing. But when you do leave the grandstand and you're walking around in the nitro alley and the pits, we're going to ask that you wear a face mask. We'll have plenty of hand sanitizer, as you mentioned, and that as best as we possibly can. We do realize we are outdoors, and so that is good. The good news, and the fact that look, we're going to ask that you be respectful of the people around you and maintain social distancing as best you can. But at the end of the day, we want the experience to be enjoyable, and we think we've got a nice set of protocols that will allow for our fans to be able to come out and watch championship drag racing, follow these protocols, because it's quite simple. If we don't do these things, then we won't be racing, and we wouldn't be allowed to have fans. So It is going to be different. It's going to feel different, as I said. But the alternative is we wouldn't be able to run the race.
Well, you did mention Nitro Alley, and for those people that have never actually been to a professional drag race, you got a great facility out there. Everybody enjoys going, but everybody's ticket also gets them into the pits, Nitro Alley. And it's there that the real fan experience, I think, happens, not only just watching the cars go 330 miles an hour down the track in 1,000 feet, but also getting up close to watching all of the crews do their thing between rounds of racing. And it's an experience unlike any other.
You're right. It's, our sport is unique in the fact that every ticket is a pit pass literally into the locker rooms of the teams. What you see on track for that short amount of time, 3.5, 4 seconds for Top Fuel and Funny Car, is just a small fraction of what's really going on at the track. When you see these teams sprinting down the return road to grab and retrieve the race car, they literally start to dismantle the engine as it's being towed back to the pit. They don't wait till it gets back to the race car hauler and they back it in to start servicing the car. So what they're able to do in a matter of 60, 65 minutes, sometimes even shorter than that, they can literally rebuild the entire engine from the bare block all the way to starting it up and fueling it up and sending it back down the racetrack again. So to watch these teams and how synchronized the crew members have to be with each other and the timing of different things and aspects of rebuilding the engine, to watch that live in person is something that you would never imagine that they could do. I mean, imagine taking the engine out of your Chevy pickup truck and taking it apart and putting it back. It would take you weeks. And these guys do it in less than an hour. So to watch that is pretty spectacular.
And it's like an orchestra. All of them have to play together at the right time to do the right thing. And then you sit there watching them, fascinated with what they're doing, and then they fire it off. And you hear it, and then you feel the sound.
And then you smell it, and the tears come to your eyes.
Eyes start watering, and it's just that's the experience that you go home and remember.
NHRA is the only sport that sprays hand sanitizer every time they light up a nitro car and just kind of fogs the whole crowd and stuff. But one of the things I've remembered, because I've been going out there since the late 80s when you guys first started, Houston Raceway Park is the record-setting track NHRA always looks to come to. So rolling into late October, air should be good. Hopefully everything comes together, and here at the end of the season, they'll pop off quite a few records in multiple brackets.
You're right, and I'll just make a prediction with you guys, and first one to really say this out there publicly, but I would not be surprised if Houston is the last event on the tour this year. I was recently in Vegas at another event this past week, and the fact is that there's really not a lot of people in Vegas right now, and so unless some restrictions are eased, I wouldn't be surprised to say that Houston would be the final race of the 2020 season and serve as the finals in determining the championships. And so for us, that is really puts us in a unique position, regardless of whether Vegas happens or not. I think you're going to, what happens in Houston, the 24th and 25th, will certainly result in, determine who's going to be the champion and be the world champion for 2020.
Well, speaking of that, Seth, I think that it would we would not really do ourselves any disservice here if we didn't talk to you about Erica Enders, our pro stock driver, and so we're going to So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, let's focus in on her for just a second. Hang with us.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Advance Auto Parts and CarQuest present the Boobs Rock Powder Puff Race. Saturday night, October 17th at Houston Motorsports Park. Gates open at 5. The green flag waves at 6. Wear a mask. Social distancing and sanitizer rules. Enjoy $1 hot dogs and $1 beer. $5 discount ticket info online at NASCARHouston.com. Saturday night, October 17th. Gates at 5. Racing at 6. Houston Motorsports Park. All car classes, including the Boobs Rock Powder Puff Race, supporting breast cancer awareness. It's the last race of the season. Boobs Rock. Don't miss it. Talking to Seth Angel at Houston Raceway Park. That's the drag strip out in Baytown. And, there's something for a future race, Seth, a Boobs Rock powder puff thing. But just an idea. Gina Child-Knowles came up with that, and I thought it was a brilliant idea out at the Circle Track up on the north side of town. But anyway, hey, thanks again for joining us today. Again, it's Seth Angel. He's the proprietor out there at Houston Raceway Park out in Baytown. So we've got a local hometown hero here, and her name is Erica Enders, and you and I both know her and her family and Stan Holt and the whole drag racing bunch here in town. And, there's a huge sportsman class. And let's face it, Erica really started over there in Baytown with her junior dragster stuff. And look at her now. What, three-time
Pro Stock world champion.
Yeah, and the truth is that when I was a kid and I was racing junior dragsters alongside her, I can tell you that we never really enjoyed racing her because she beat us, and so but it was fun watching her grow up and through the ranks and really earn her spot in the sport. And she will certainly her performance with her world championships, and then she's right in line to win another championship this year. She's only 2 points back behind Jason Line with 2, possibly 3 races left. So every round matters. And so don't be surprised if you see her go rounds on Sunday at both Texas Motorplex here next weekend, and certainly in Houston. Elite Motorsports, which is her team, is really at the top of their game. And so that's why she's in that driver's seat with that team, is because she's the top of her game as well.
Yeah, she definitely is. Let's change gears here for just a second. In running a track like yours, how in touch are you with other tracks? Just out of curiosity, I mean, you've got to know what everybody else is doing, and I'm sure that you guys amongst yourselves, share information and trade any kind of information that you may have regarding things that work for one track, might not work at another, that sort of stuff. Well, how does that work for you?
That's a great question, Don. And the simple fact is that we do communicate quite often with our other track operators and track partners. We're not in competition with each other. We are working with each other, and things that may work at another venue may not work at our venue, and vice versa. But now more than ever, especially during this pandemic, I've been in constant communication with the other tracks. I talked to Chris Blair at St. Louis over the last couple of weeks, and certainly his race this past weekend, just finding out what the feel like, and what the flow was like, and what the crowd was like, and just to try to understand better how we can put ourselves in a position coming the 24th and 25th to let our fans, create that experience that they deserve, that they pay for when they buy those tickets. And so it's important that we communicate. We talk now a lot more than we have maybe in the past because of the environment and the world that we're living in with the pandemic. Because, the truth is, we move past 20 and we look into 21. A lot of the challenges that we face today, we're going to be faced with them come next spring. And so, it's important that we communicate and that we bounce things off of each other. Because at the end of the day, we're on the same team and we're working together for the same goal. And
speaking of that, I know that NHRA just released their 22-race schedule for the 2021 season, and they've got Houston Raceway Park on the schedule for the Mopar Express Lane NHRA Nationals on May the 21st through the 23rd of next year. Do you think that that's going to happen?
100% it's going to happen. There were some fans that were not thrilled with that date and that option, but here's the facts of the matter. NHRA, when planning the 21 schedule, gave us really a couple options. The first option was to run in March, which I was not enthusiastic about for a lot of reasons. One, I felt like it was too soon. I think it will still be in an environment where the pandemic is still kind of impacting outdoor events and limiting capacities. And so I didn't want to put ourselves in a position where we were still faced with that. And the other option was to run in October, which, it's great, but it's not great when you have another facility less than 200 miles away running back-to-back weekends. It's not ideal for them. And the Texas Motorplex is not ideal for us. And so I really worked with the NHRA in trying to find a weekend that we felt would fit for the tour, because it's important on how they position each event and where the teams travel to and how to minimize long hauls across the country. And so, we settled with the May 21st, 22nd, 23rd weekend. Look, at the end here, I want to be racing. The Spring Nationals belong in April. They belong in that third or fourth weekend in April, as they've always been. I think eventually we'll get back to that weekend. But given the circumstances, we felt like the May 21, May 22, May 23rd date was best suited for us, for our fans, for the 21 season.
And it's going to be a new challenge for the tuners to come to Houston, because typically in the April-March timeframe, the weather was always a little bit cooler. So now the challenge is going to have to deal with a little bit more heat. So it's going to take a little bit more skill and experience to get down the track.
Yeah. Look, and I think we've already had conversations about where the schedule of that weekend, and if we can do some things on Friday night, and then obviously go maybe later on Saturday to try to get away from some of that heat. We realize it's not going to be, 60 degrees in conditions. But the fact of the matter is, we're confident that we'll have a great race weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Look, these guys are experts. They'll figure their track out. They'll figure the conditions out. Technology's on their side, and they'll be able to handle it.
Well, Seth, we're really looking forward to the race coming up here in a couple of weeks, and I know that you are too, and I know that you got your hands full between now and then getting everything ready for the crowds that are going to be out there, and I just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to be giving away some tickets to the race, and that's going to start next weekend. So we look forward to coming out there and doing our show from there once again, and we sure appreciate your time that you took today out of your busy schedule to be with us. So thanks so much, man.
As always, I'm going to get back to watching last year's race behind me and keeping my energy up.
We've been watching it while you're talking.
Yeah, exactly. So, Seth, thanks again, man. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. All right, take care. All right, Seth Angel, he is the proprietor out there at Houston Raceway Park. We've got more of the In Wheel Time Car Show coming your way right after this quick break.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I don't know why, but for some reason, when I hear that song, this song, it reminds me of Ed Big Daddy Roth. Jeff's wearing the Rat
Big Daddy?
Yeah, the Big Daddy Roth, Ed Roth shirt today. But that it kind of takes the Monsters, the 60s stuff, Hot Rods.
What was the other spy show with Steele, the girl Steele? What was it? Man, oh no, well not Man from U.N.C.L.E., but one of the
Remington Steele.
Remington Steele. No. Anyhow, never mind. I'll go back to whatever I was doing before. I brought that up.
There is that. You know, it's time actually for the car clinic. Are you ready to do the car clinic?
Yep. And
it's taking you out of your norm here.
Kind of a continuation of a little bit of last week. You know, it's intermittent intrigue. You know, remember last week we talked about the inventor of the windshield wipers had gotten it patented back in the 1800s, and then wipers really didn't become a thing in the cars until later in the 30s and 40s, so she never benefited from her patent. Well, something else happened, and that was after wipers really became more implemented on automobiles in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they weren't offered with a lot of settings. It was either on or off, and the only intermittent you got in them, we talked about it last week.
Is when you floored the accelerator pedal.
and the vacuum sped them up or slowed them down. Well, in 1963, a man named Robert Kearns had an eye injury, and it got him to thinking about how can I better the view out of the inside of my car, because his eye injury really affected him when the windshield was wet. So, and he...
What?
Yeah, no, it was. It was. And he realized that your eyelid didn't blink at the same speed all the time, and it kind of changed just his needs. So he was trying to figure out, how can we put this on the windshield of a car? So through as a scientist, he observed this with his eyeball, and he designed a system of intermittent wipers on a vehicle. And he was so excited about it, he brought it to Ford after he had applied for his patents and showed it to Ford. He built a system, put it on his 1962 Ford Galaxy, and drove it over to Ford headquarters. And the Ford engineers were so impressed, they sent him out of the room so they could prove that he wasn't doing it with like a button in his pocket or
Seriously?
something. Well, I think they might have had a little bit of nefarious reasons to send him out of the room.
Nefarious reasons.
So they sent him out of the room so they could do a better job of inspecting this and making sure he wasn't doing something to cause the intermittent. And they were quite impressed with the system, and what ended up happening is in 1969, Ford released as a factory option was intermittent wipers on the 1969 Ford Galaxy without help from Robert Kearns.
Is that Mr. Kearns?
That's Mr. Kearns right there.
Handsome-looking man.
But it wasn't until 1976 that Robert Kearns actually took apart the Ford system on their vehicle to determine that it was his patented windshield wiper system.
Busted.
And busted them. So he ended up taking a patent lawsuit against Ford, against Chrysler, against General Motors, against a whole bunch of manufacturers who had integrated his design into their systems, into their wiper systems. And after many long years of fighting Ford and Chrysler and 25 other car manufacturers, in 1995, Mr. Kearns was ultimately awarded $30 million.
Was he still alive?
From Chrysler. Yeah, he was still alive. At that point, his original lawsuit was for $325 million, but the appeals court dropped it down to $30 million.
Darn.
And he had fired all of his legal advisors and kind of goofed up on some of the paperwork, so he couldn't get the lawsuit against all the other.
Well, darn, $30 million.
But Mr. Kearns passed away February 9th of 2005 at the age of 77. So he never really fully recognized. He was never fully recognized as the creator of the intermittent wipers. But in 2008, there was a movie called Flash of Genius, starring Greg Kinnear, that highlighted the story of Robert Kearns and his legal battle over intermittent wipers.
What was it called again?
Flash of Genius.
Flash of Genius. Okay.
So it's funny that in the wiper realm of cars, both people who patented windshield wipers and then the guy who patented intermittent wipers never realized the revenue stream that was available to them because the patents had expired.
They got screwed.
They absolutely got end tattooed.
Blued, screwed, and tattooed.
Okay. So, if you're gonna patent something, don't go show it to somebody who wants to steal it from you.
Not until you for sure got all the paperwork.
And when they send you out of the room, wonder why.
Just remember why your parents sent you out of the room. There was something about something.
Whoa.
Somebody's fixing to get screwed.
God. All right. Well, thank you.
Oh.
God,
I thought that was a great story, though.
It is a great story. Absolutely. All right. We've got this week's automotive news headlines coming up next.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
And if you think that you're going crazy and you thought, wait a minute, didn't I just hear that?
And this music.
No, you did not hear that. It's all your
Deja
fault.
vu.
All over again. Welcome back to the In-Wheel Time program. Nobody said anybody was perfect here. Your Prevagen is working. Lucky you. Okay, time now for some of the stories making automotive news headlines this week. California's plan to end sales of gasoline-burning vehicles in 2035 could have a ripple effect nationwide if history is any guide. Golden State's unique ability to set its emission standards has actually been shaping the U.S. auto industry for 5 decades, but the initial effects will be felt inside the state, the nation's biggest auto market, and will start well before its 15-year deadline that all new vehicles be zero emission. Tesla is already climbing the sales charts in California, and its electric vehicles are threatening bestsellers such as the Honda Civic and the Toyota Camry. As a matter of fact, these are California sales numbers now. You ready? So top-selling nameplates in 2019, number 5, Toyota RAV4, number 4, Honda Accord, number 3, Tesla Model 3.
Oh, wow.
Number 2, Toyota Camry, and number 1, Honda Civic. Now, EV sellers, get this. The number 1 EV seller is the Tesla Model 3 at 59,514. Its closest competitor, the Chevrolet Bolt, 8,239.
Oh, my gosh. Talking about dominate the market.
Tesla Model X, 7,222. Tesla Model S, 5,885.
Oh, I thought there was way more S's than that.
I thought so, too. I think that they were at the beginning, but apparently the Model 3 is the bomb. And I think it's because of the price.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Nissan Leaf at 4,160.
So the question comes down to if California goes to pure EV, they can't keep the power on right now. They're running these statewide brownouts. How are they going to power all these people when they hook up their EVs to charge?
I know. Well, something to scratch your head about.
Remember to vote.
Okay, now, here's a story that you can't comment on because we're running out of time for this hour. But I've got to plug this in here. You ready? Virgin Hyperloop.
Don't look at me. You told me not to comment.
I'm not. I'm just saying. Virgin. Virgin Airlines. Richard Branson.
Oh, okay.
Virgin Hyperloop has picked West Virginia to host a $500 million certification center and test track for billionaire Richard Branson's super high-speed travel system.
West Virginia.
Stand by. The center will be the first U.S. regulatory proving ground for a Hyperloop system designed to whisk floating pods packed with passengers and cargo
Can you say that 3 times fast?
Through vacuum tubes at 600 miles per hour or faster.
So it's like being at the bank.
Pretty much. That's exactly right. And all I can think of is George Jetson in this. Branson announced the decision at a press conference Thursday, joined virtually by U.S. Transportation Department Secretary Elaine Chao, in a Hyperloop system which uses magnetic levitation to allow near-silent travel. A trip between New York and Washington would take just 30 minutes. That would be twice as fast as a commercial jet flight and 4 times faster than a high-speed train. Construction is slated to begin in 2022 on the site of a former coal mine. Federal regulators will use the center and accompanying 6-mile test track to establish regulatory and safety standards, while Virgin will test its product and infrastructure.
This thing gonna feel like leaving in a top fuel dragster.
This thing is going to happen whether you like it or not. And
You have to take your shoes off to get on.
yeah, you have to take your shoes off to get on. Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. But at any rate, so I thought that was a pretty George Jetson. Here we are.
Here we are.
All right. We've got more of the In Wheel Time show coming up right after this.
If baby could talk, she'd say a lot. You'd know what she's thinking and what makes her happy. But unfortunately, baby can't talk or remind you you're the one taking her to daycare today. And she won't speak up if you drive straight to work like any other day and never think to look in the backseat. Every year, dozens of kids die from heat stroke in cars. No one is perfect, so set a reminder and always look before you lock. Where's baby? Paid for by NHTSA.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the award-winning In Wheel Time Car Show. Hot rod history and man cave expert. The fabulous Ron Stein is waiting for our conversation. Inside our new car showroom sits the Cadillac CT4. We'll give you an in-depth review. Plus, we'll have This Week in Automotive History and stories making auto news headlines, all just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, October 10th, 2020. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong. Jeff Zekin, too, sitting right off camera. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could be with us. All right. It's time to talk to that caveman. It's time to talk now to our good friend Ron. Yeah, the man, Mr. Ron Stein. Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Are you afraid to be on camera, Mr. Stein? Is that what it is?
No, I'm not afraid. It's just the setting up, okay? And thank goodness Kat is helping me.
Well, yes, we're all thankful for that.
Everybody needs an IT manager.
She's doing a fine job because you really look pretty good.
Actually, you do.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, how are you feeling these days?
I'm feeling great, feeling wonderful, trying to stay healthy like everybody else and enduring what everybody else is going through.
Well, there's that. There is that.
Difficult that the car world and the car clubs are shut down basically, and we can talk about that.
Well, I want to talk first of all about your collection. How's the collection doing? Is it in mothballs right now?
Unfortunately, yes, because the car clubs are not doing much of anything, except that this week. There's a group of Triumph guys, the Triumph Owners Club of Houston. They're going to Yellowstone National Park from Houston, and there are about 13 Triumphs in a row going up to Yellowstone and having a wonderful time.
Wow.
So how many wreckers do you need? To get
how many wreckers do you need?
Well,
got to follow with 13 trailers?
No. They do have what they call a vulture wagon, which is just basically a trailer.
A vulture wagon.
No one has broken down, which is kind of amazing. But I guarantee you, if in fact something happens, in someone's trunk, there is a wheel bearing or a spare motor mount.
Because they're used to carrying parts.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
Well, what a great trip up to Yellowstone, but that's a good haul from Houston.
Yeah, right, and they have a good time. It's called the fog trip. Foggy old guys.
How come we didn't get invited?
Yeah, we didn't.
you have a Triumph? Well, you don't have to have a Triumph, but it would help.
Yeah. Well, we've got the age part of it down pretty good, I think.
And we're just foggy old guys.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, have we got any new items in the Ron Stein collection, or is it the same ones that we've had for a while?
Well, as of this morning, I was going to acquire a 1941 Continental Coupe.
Oh, wow.
With a wonderful Ford V8 engine in it to get the V12 engine out of it. And I was at the last moment, at the last second, I was outbid by a gentleman that was about an hour away from Driggs, Idaho, that came in and I guess talked to the gentleman, and he bought the car. And this was going to be my all-time great car because it had a modern drivetrain. It was air-conditioned, which is kind of rare, not from the factory. And just, I saw the car. My son and I and his wife and Kat were in a restaurant right across the street in Driggs, Idaho. And Kat looked out the window and she said, "Whoa, look out the window, Ron." And there in the driveway was this gorgeous 41 Coupe, original, nothing altered except the engine. We talked to the guy, and unfortunately it took a year for me to chat with him again, and I was a little too late. So basically, a long story to get to this, the collection is still intact and the same.
Well,
nothing new.
Well, I have to tell you, Ron, you know how those Idahoans are out there. They'll screw you every chance that they get.
Well, I was in and then I was out. So I
thought when we talked the other day, I thought you'd bought it. It was a done deal.
Well, I thought so too.
But Ronnie,
there's always another car.
Ronnie, don't you have one similar to that? I thought that you had a Continental in your collection.
Oh, I've got a Continental Mark II.
Oh, that's it.
That's a 50s generation.
Yeah, okay.
56, yeah. I got one of the original, well, it's a duplicate of the original Mark II convertible that William Clay Ford gave to his wife as a present. It was the only one made, and it was at the Texas State Fair in 56. And it was a white with a red and white interior. She loved the car. It's a stunning car. But she thought it was a little too racy with the red and white. So, of course, being a Ford, they brought it back to Detroit and had it painted in her favorite color, which was a robin's egg blue with a blue and white interior. I have a clone of that car. And then I acquired another Mark II Coupe.
And a 41 would be a relatively rare car, not just for the rarity of a Continental, but the rarity of 41 production.
Yep, right after the war. No, before the war.
Yeah. Well, so Ron, what are you doing these days? Are you still working?
Oh yeah, I still have a job. I've limited my time. I'm not rushing in at 6 o'clock in the morning anymore. I sort of wander in about 10, and if I want to leave early, I can, depending on pressure. And I'm always in touch with a lot of car people. I still belong to 5 car clubs. And unfortunately, our meetings are Zoom, or are virtual, and there are very few. There are no car shows, there are no auctions, there are no tours. So we're all sort of landlocked. So I'm actually working on some of my cars now. I have time to work on them. Actually, in fact, I'm going to work on the
to get ready for those car shows and those car tours.
Well, I have to tell you, Ron, and I haven't talked to you other than this conversation that we're having now, but there is a cruise-in that you may be interested in. It's kind of close to your house, over at the Sharpstown Golf Center. The golf used to be the Sharpstown Golf Club, country club, and Craig Bierman, my buddy with Speed and Sport Chrome Plating, is putting it on. It's called Coffee and Chrome, and it's the first Sunday of every month at the Prince's that is over there. So, hamburgers.
Is that the Prince's is now at the? Is it the Sharpstown? Or
Yes.
It's at Urban Park.
No, it's at Sharpstown Golf Club.
Oh wow.
So
that's cool.
So
climb in one of your toys and come on over the first Sunday of the month.
Yeah, Sunday from 9 to noon.
Take one of my Woodies over. Yeah.
Yeah, please do. We'd love to see you. It'd be a real treat for everybody, and you get to see me.
Well, that's a thrill in itself.
I know it is.
I mean, if you're not on the ground, you're in the air. So I don't know where the hell you are.
He's everywhere. He's in the ground.
So,
He's on.
What are you doing? Because I know you've had a pretty good relationship with the Conroe School District in the past, and I know all of that's on hold, but I'm sure you've got something planned for the future as things open up.
Well, you know, the 5 years we had the Concourse of Texas at La Torreta Resort.
Yeah.
Well, that's sold.
That's Margaritaville.
Margaritaville.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett has bought that, and I'd like to see his Catalina airplane, which he flies around in, the seaplane, land on Lake Conroe. I don't think it's
that
big
would be
enough,
fun.
That would really be a lot of fun. So, in answer to your question, because the schools are closed now, I have been in contact. I think the last thing on their mind, because I know Kat is working so darn hard as an administrator at her elementary school. They're probably up to their necks in curriculum and classes.
Just trying to keep things going,
Keep things going on a level basis, saying that no one's ever done this before. I'm going to contact them. They're very interested in getting involved in the auto restoration shop, and I'll continue my talks. But to answer your question, everything's on hold basically now. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
So I want to know about more of the car collection that you do have. So we've discovered that you've got the Continental, and you've got the Nash, and the Woody. Do you have more than one Woody?
Oh yeah, I have two. I've
Woody.
got a '46 Ford Super Deluxe station wagon, and it's got two surfboards on the top. And you guys will remember this. The millennials don't know what we're talking about, because in the back window I've got an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. And when I go to a car show, the young girls come up and they go, "What kind of thong is that?" Singing, I start singing, "It's an itsy bitsy teeny," and they look at me and say, "What the hell is this old man?"
The dirty old man here.
What you should have said, Ronnie.
Let me put it on and show you.
Actually, I was wearing it earlier today.
I'm looking for the woman who can fit into that, okay? And then
that'll get you a slap in the head.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, once Cat approves. And then the second Woody I have is a more unique and very rare and very valuable car. It's a 1947 Nash Ambassador Suburban. It's a four-door suburban car with wood on the sides and wood on the doors. And I call it my mother's nightmare and my teenager's dream, because it folds down into a complete double bed. From the back of the front seat to the end of the trunk, there's a complete double bed. And I've looked for about 20 years for two things, accessories that would make the car complete. And within 3 weeks of each other, I got in the original cardboard box, the original screens for the rear window.
Like privacy screens?
No. They're just regular screens. They open the windows to get air blowing through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And keep the bugs out.
Yeah, and in the original plastic wrappers, two original double mattresses, never used.
Oh, how cool is that?
For that car.
Now, have you used the mattresses since you've acquired them in the car?
You know, my dream was, I still, as age goes on and life goes on, is the Cat and I to drive to the Nash, cross country, mountain, not east, west, and camp out in it, because it's very comfortable. I mean, it's a double bed, actually, from the back of the front seat to the end of the trunk, and the seats fold down in the back, and it's very comfortable. And it's when you pull up, if you were to pull up with that car, and you had a date, and you pulled up in front of your girlfriend's house, and her father looked out the window and said, "Is that a Nash?" And you're going to the what? You're going to the drive-in? You're going to take the Buick.
Leave the Nash in the driveway.
Well,
Yeah.
You take the Buick.
Don't you have a
Buick-
Triumph in your collection as well?
Excuse me?
Don't you have a Triumph in your collection as well?
I've got a Triumph Stag, a V8 with the original V8 engine. It's a sports car.
Cool
it's
car.
A roadster, and you can get in trouble with the engine with the speed. The power to weight ratio is unique. Right? It's
Well,
very
you know,
cool.
I see a theme going on here. You can get in trouble with the Nash, and you can get in trouble with the Triumph, just in different ways.
Yes, of course.
You know, Ronnie, what are we going to do with
I
you?
picked up on something. I never thought of it that way.
Well, leave it to me. You hang on there.
He's going back to the bikini over here.
Yeah, I am. You hang on there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Don't start with me.
Deja vu.
Don't start with me. Thanks for joining us on today's In Wheel Time Car Show. We really appreciate it. On the line with us right now is Mr. Ron Stein, Mr. Dapper, Mr. Extraordinaire.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Ronnie
Keep
Stein.
going, Don. Keep going.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're not on our feet just yet, but soon. At any rate. So we got 2 Woodies, a Triumph, a Nash, a Continental. What else is in the Stein collection?
Well, let me just show you one thing. I've got 2 Continental Mark IIs, which are kind of rare.
2.
They only made 2,800 of them, 56 and 57. And the car in 1956 was $10,000.
Oh, my gosh. That's a lot of money. Whew.
Right, yeah. And I just happened to get a beautiful model of a Mark II. And this is what the Continental
Looks
Mark
like.
II. It's a beautiful car and very stylish, 300 horsepower engine.
That was a lot back then.
Exhausts, and only the very wealthy had these. We have a list of every single owner that bought them. Elvis Presley, Van Cleef and Arpels, a lot of politicians, a lot of sports figures, the Shah of Iran. So
is it a single seater?
Oh no! It's a 2-door, but there are seats in the front and back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
When you get back on your feet and you're coming in, I'll come into the studio and you can take a look at it. It's a beautiful car. Beautiful car.
Cool.
The Nash, we were going to go up to see my grandsons and my grandsons and my sons and their wives. One's in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and one is in Breckenridge. And of course, the virus hit, so we're on hold.
Yeah.
And we were going to actually camp all the way up in the Nash.
So they're not just cars in your collection; they're cars that you drive.
Yeah. I can't say that every single car starts immediately every single time, but people always ask me, "Which is your favorite car?" My answer is the car that starts when I want it.
The day I'm going to.
Car guys know what that means.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because you own a Triumph and you own a British car, and we know that the electronics on those are quite sensitive all the time.
Well,
kind of like me.
I've got the grandfather of the Triumphs, which is a British standard, 1936, 9 horsepower. Because 9 horsepower is they rated the taxes on the taxable horsepower. And it was 9 at rest, 27 horsepower at speed.
I have a lawnmower with more than 9 horsepower.
Yeah. Cute little car. Only one in the States.
So does Kat still have the Studebaker truck?
She does. She does, and we're trying to get it power steering because it steers like a truck. How's that sound?
A truck without power steering, yeah. You got to wheel that thing around there. Is there some? How are you going to do that? I mean, I'm sure that they don't make kits for that, do they?
No, they don't make a kit, but you can alter some of the parts from an Avante, the power steering.
Oh yeah.
And put a ram, hydraulic ram on the tie rods. Excuse me, and it'll work, but that takes time.
So, Ron, what do you got planned coming up for the rest of the year when this COVID crisis thing? So, yeah, just staying hunkered down and staying close to the house.
Yeah, I'm staying close to the house, working on honeydew things at the house, working on the cars. There's always a project or two, as well, all you guys, and every time I go to Home Depot, it's crowded. They got stuff flying off the shelves because everybody's doing home repairs, or they're doing stuff with their cars or trucks or boats.
Yeah. Well,
we're in the same boat, and we can't just jumped on the stand here. That's why it's.
I understand.
That was an earthquake.
Well, Ronnie, it's always good to see you. Good to talk to you, as always. And thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. You are the man of the hour, and I enjoy sharing emails with you. Matter of fact, I think I sent him an email about some of the 1950 shenanigans that he used to pull out there on Long Island and drag racing and zooming the girls and stuff like that. So that was our last communication a couple of weeks ago. But you're always on the top of my mind, Ron Stein.
I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad to come on again and have a chat with guys that love cars and things that are associated with cars.
He's got a ton of books and stuff there behind him. It looks like car history. We need to get him sometime and talk about some of that stuff.
Maybe a good idea is to have a virtual go from car guy to car guy and have him show you there and the listeners and the viewers now their man caves and their collections, and that would be interesting to go behind the scenes.
Well, Ron,
I'll show you yours if you show me mine.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no problem.
We love you, Ron Stein. You take care.
I love you. Have a happy week and stay healthy. That's the main thing.
You do the same, my friend, and we will talk to you soon. All right. We've got our car review coming up next here on In Wheel Time. Stay with us.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Advance Auto Parts and CarQuest present the Boobs Rock Powder Puff Race. Saturday night, October 17th at Houston Motorsports Park. Gates open at 5. The green flag waves at 6. Wear a mask. Social distancing and sanitizer rules. Enjoy $1 hot dogs and $1 beer. $5 discount ticket info online at NASCARHouston.com. Saturday night, October 17th. Gates at 5. Racing at 6. Houston Motorsports Park. All car classes, including the Boobs Rock Powder Puff Race, supporting breast cancer awareness. It's the last race of the season. Boobs Rock. Don't miss it. Don't miss it if you can. Boobs Rock. That's going to be a fun race. Powder puff race. Oh, Lord. Well, can we move on now? Can I do the car review?
Please do.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right. Time now for our car review. The 2020 Cadillac CT4. Yes, I've had a CT4 before.
But you had the V-Series before.
I had the V-Series. So this is not the V-Series. So here are the available trim levels. It comes in the luxury, the premium luxury, the sport, and the V. This one that I had is the premium luxury. It is called a compact. We like to call it a midsize here on the In Wheel Time Show. Seats 5 passengers. It's all new for 2020. That is a sharp-looking car.
Yes,
I don't care who you are.
Extremely sharp-looking car.
Exterior features, classic 4-door styling with modern, cutting-edge design, as you can see. A sculpted lower valance panel underneath the doors. You can see it right there. Sexy wheel offerings in the many different trim levels. Bustle-style trunk lid with a built-in spoiler. It's got a
bustle back.
It's got a bootay. That's it, just like that. What I liked about it, all of it. That's a good-looking car. I don't care who you are.
No, I like it a lot.
Interior highlights. Infotainment screen is carved into the top of the dash. It has a modern instrument cluster. Contrasting stitching on the upholstery on some of the trim levels. Also, contrasting interiors are available as well on the upper trims. Cargo and trunk room, it does have a small opening back there, but once you stuff bodies back there, there's room for it.
It gets way up out of the way, but
it does.
You still have
it's
to
still a small opening
your way
because of
in.
that sloping rear glass. What could use improvement? There's a lot of plastic parts in there that kind of distract from the design, but
especially in a Cadillac,
I was a little bit disappointed.
The trim should be
more Cadillac,
more of a little upscale,
more Cadillac-y.
Cadillac-y's a good way to put it.
This particular car had a 2.7 liter turbocharged four-cylinder, a four-cylinder that turns out 310 horsepower. Wait a minute. Isn't 310 horsepower the same horsepower as the V6 the General Motors has had for decades?
The 3.6 liter?
This is a four-banger and has 350 pound-feet of torque and runs a 10-speed automatic transmission, gets 20 miles to the gallon city, 28 on the highway, for a combined total of 23. Now, most of my driving is done on the freeway, 28.4 miles per gallon over 434.5 miles.
That's pretty remarkable. That's
out of a
good.
four-banger.
That's very, very good.
Yeah. And
because that's not a small car. I mean, they call it compact. It's
a mid-size
big compact car.
Yeah, exactly. What I liked about it, the power that they're able to get out of that four-banger.
Well, it's the world of turbos.
It is, and it really kind of makes those V6s and V8s old school. Hell, man, I had a Corvette that didn't have 300 horsepower.
Yeah,
back in the 70s.
Yeah. All the smog controls first came in.
Yep.
Back before they knew how to do it.
Yeah. So there's that. Ride and handling. What I liked, I liked its sporty feel, and that it had. It's not as sporty as the V Series.
No, but it's not as pricey as the V Series either.
Correct. It's about $10,000 cheaper. What could use improvement? Nothing. Leave it alone. And by the way, this is a engine option, the 2.7 liter turbo. They have a smaller one that has less horsepower. That's like 255. Get this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Pricing, here you go. The base trim price on this car, $37,495. That's the base trim.
That's not bad at all.
Prices tested was $50,265.
It's a little bit more than a $12,000 bump in content.
Yep. Base model price, in other words, the entry-level price is $32,995. So if you just like the body style, you can get the smaller engine. And, of course, it doesn't have all the fancy...
But it's still a Cadillac, so it comes standard with tons of stuff. You're just such a highfalutin guy.
Well,
you put all the gadgets and gizmos on it for you.
Do I look like a highfalutin guy?
Yes, you do.
No, but our age, we have this expectation of Cadillac, just from the brand.
That's
because
correct.
of what we grew up with, lawyers, doctors, and all that stuff. You always
standard
wanted to move up to a Cadillac.
Right. Uncle Jimmy had Cadillacs as long as I can remember. From way back in the dark ages when I was just a boy.
But Cadillac's looking for a different
segment
of cars and different buyers because, the old joke when I worked for Oldsmobile was the last time buyer program. And Cadillac's very much with their design as well as with the V Series trying to drive their average age down.
Well, speaking of which, competitors to this vehicle, the Audi A3 that starts at $33,300. Remember this, the Cadillac was $32,995 entry level. So the other competitors include the BMW 2 Series at $35,300 and the Mercedes-Benz A-Class at $32,800. So they're all within the ballpark.
And the CT4 is bigger than those.
Yes, it is.
I would easily say noticeably bigger than the A3.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right. I want to remind you that the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict, among others. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues after this quick break.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. There clearly has been a little, what do they call it, a shuffle change. Look, it's Jeff Zekin sitting in Conrad's place. Conrad had to leave early today. Howdy and welcome. This is the award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin, and yours truly, Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. Is Rodney on there?
Rodney is here.
All right. Well, we're going to get to him in just a second. It's a beautiful day here in the neighborhood. What are you all doing?
Never mind. When we're ready. Are you ready? When we get ready to go to Rodney, I'll get it.
All right. It's different because, we've got everybody doing their own thing. Mars works the Zoom. Jeff works. Hit the Zoom. Jeff works the switcher.
And I just caught up with Jeff and understood what he was wanting me to do.
Yeah. So at any rate, with all that beside the point, I want to talk to who I've been dying to bring on the show, Rodney Rodriguez. He's the announcer out of Houston Motorsports Park. He also runs a race car show called Russ, or the Revved Up Sports Show, and he's out of San Antonio or Austin. Where are you?
Round Rock, north of Austin.
Round Rock. Oh, well, I leave it to me to get it wrong.
Central Texas.
It's all the same. It's a 35 corridor. It's all joined together. You can't tell where it starts or stops. You're all good.
Rodney, it's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Good to see you guys, man. Beautiful Saturday, taking it day by day. It's what we do these days, isn't it?
It is.
That's it.
So I want to get a little background on you, Rodney. I didn't know you before our get together at Houston Motorsports Park when there's a race out there, and you do such a great job as the announcer out there on the PA, and it's fun working with this guy too. You never know about these kind of guys. It's like, well, what is he going to say? Well, what kind of introduction?
I've heard him. I've heard him. I've been out there.
Yeah, he's very good. So, Rodney, give me a little bit of background on you. Obviously, you got a radio show going on there in the Austin area. And so how did you get into broadcasting?
I actually I stumbled into it. I grew up in racing. My dad and I would hit Austin Speedorama track here in Austin, and we were race fans for a long time. And then he started racing, and then in the mid-90s he turned it over to me, and we really enjoyed that. And good friend of mine, Marianne Nauman, that actually now runs Cotton Bowl Speedway. She gave me the first opportunity to jump behind a microphone over at Thunder Hill Raceway.
What year was that?
That was, I think, the end of 2008 is when I jumped behind a microphone.
That Raceway Cotton is still on the circuit, isn't it?
Is Cotton Bowl still there?
Yeah. Yeah, Cotton Bowl's still open. I get to see it. I drive right by it every time I'm headed y'all's way for Houston. It's
Nice.
right there off 290. And I do announce for her still from time to time. So I'm like the 290 kid. I just kind of stay on 290, it seems like. But it started there, and I haven't looked back. I've been doing that ever since. And the racing has started and stopped as I've been doing this, and right now the racing stopped. So it really affords me time. As a matter of fact, tonight I'm heading to Edna, which is over towards Victoria, to Texana Raceway Park, and I'll call some dirt track racing there tonight for those good folks. So
how fun!
It's, good way to spend Saturday nights, and you just get energy off the crowd. You know how that goes.
Yes, I do. Hey, by the way, I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. Last race, I think it was the first race that I have been to where the crowd started doing the wave. I haven't seen the wave in years.
That was funny because now we're streaming through Houston Motorsports Park TV and the YouTube channel. Somebody apparently had messaged in about that, and somebody got word to me about doing the wave. And I thought the same thing when they said the wave. I'm like, what year is this? It's like, come on, man, we've made it into the almost 2020, and those people obliged, and they did it. It was 5 or 6 different times, so they had to stay up on their feet. That dollar beer, they worked it off.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And then now we've got a new star out there on the track, Caden the Cone Boy.
Cone Boy, I'll tell you, man, that guy. And it's funny things like that. It just kind of hits you in the middle of the show, and it's funny the way it started out with him because I don't think he realized exactly what was going on, initially. But now he sees it. Now you see him, doing facial expressions and whatever to the crowd. And I mean, the crowd. I think Caden gets the loudest ovation over any winner.
Yeah, exactly. Taking the cone on and off the track after there's been a yellow flag.
It's risky. It's a very risky position.
Yeah, it is. But he does.
He's young. He's young. He's agile. He's like a jack.
He can dodge. He can weave, bob.
We would be in trouble, guys. But he is totally good.
Yeah. So. I noticed when I was up there visiting with you a couple of weeks ago in your position up there in the announce position up there high above the track that while you're calling, like, for instance, the time trials, you have on your cell phone, you're able to pull up exactly what the speed is of the car just like that, man. I want to know about that. I'm old school. I didn't know anything about that sort of stuff. It used to be just a guy sitting there with a stopwatch, and then all of a sudden we have beams out there on the track, and now clearly it's almost instantaneous on your phone.
Yeah. With everything going to electronic scoring, I'm with you, Don. Up until 2.5 years ago, I had sheets of paper, with everything written down. But that app is actually called Race Monitor. And you can get it, in Google Play or in the Apple iStore, whatever the case may be. And that is tied in directly to timing and scoring. And it does. It gives you the lap speed of the competitors, during time trials as the race is going on. Every time the car flashes by, their name pops up and it gives you their time. And it's really a good way to follow along.
Oh, wow.
Because folks always talk about at the track. It's like, we can't hear me at the track. And it's like, we have a race monitor. You can pretty much keep up with what I'm telling you.
So does the app adapt to the track you're at? Like you say, you're going to Edna. Yeah. Does it adapt to that, or you have to reapply it?
Yeah, what you do with that is you just go in, and there's actually 2 different ones. There's Race Monitor, then there's another one called My Race Pass, which the My Race Pass app is the one that the dirt tracks seem to use, and Race Monitor seems to be the one that the asphalt tracks use around the country. But really, you just open either one of those apps up, and you go in and you type in the name of the racetrack, and if there's a live event, it's going to tell you right there. Wow. You just click it, and it takes you right to what's happening. It's a really cool way to keep up. Even if you're not there, you're
there
live. Yeah, you're there. Absolutely.
So I can imagine the racers use that too to keep kind of real time track about this is how well my car is performing.
Is there a price for the app?
If I'm not mistaken, the app itself is free, but you have to do like a monthly. I think the monthly thing is like $4.99 or $2.99, something like that. And you can have it on if when we get into December and January when we're not racing, there's no need to have that subscription. You just don't do it then. But it's super simple and it makes it really cool. I mean, and that just shows how this sport has progressed because it was, and we still have a guy named Steve Young from San Antonio that comes in and manually scores the races, on paper the way we're accustomed to that. But with all that and it makes disputes and questions and restarts, especially, makes it a heck of a lot easier than it used to be.
So recording the scoring and timing, is that like baseball box scores? They do it that way, or
absolutely,
Yeah.
Same thing. You get the results at the end of the night and everything. I mean, it's so easy to calculate points. It's I tell you, technology, man, it's really helped the sport out.
Rodney, we want to continue our conversation. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. Talking to Ronnie Rodriguez. He's the guru behind the microphone out there at Houston Motorsports Park. He also has a race-related show there in the Austin area and online called the Revved Up Sports Show. And I want to talk to you about that now. And tell me a little bit about that. You start, if I remember the story correctly, you started it online and then the radio station picked it up. How did that work?
Yeah, it started out, we were just doing a pretty simple audio stream, a few years back. And then one day, for some reason, actually, I'll be real honest with you, I drank a couple of beers before we were doing the show, and I turned on Facebook Live, and we found a whole new element to this thing.
Maybe that's what we should do.
That's what we should do.
You do your best thinking there.
Yeah.
but I was fortunate that I do some work for the Genuine Austin Radio, which is a local conglomerate of radio stations here in the Austin area, which is the Horn, all sports, the Longhorn station, Coke FM, which is, classic country, Texas country, and then 105.3 The Bat. And they realized what we were doing. They had a motorsports show through Texas Motor Speedway, and that show went away. And they said, we need content. Do you want to try this? And the show just caught a whole new element.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Saturdays 11 to noon. We have Revved Up ATX. So there's actually two variations of it.
Gotcha. Well, I'm familiar with the one. It's Monday evenings at 6.
Yeah, 6:30. And what we try to do with that, I try to program that to where the Monday show, because Monday predominantly is our racing. Our Texas folks, our Florida, Alabama, Mississippi. They want to hear about short track racing. Some of those folks are a little soured on NASCAR for whatever reason. So we try to stick to that, and we bring guests in, and so forth that relate more to that. When we go to Saturdays where we can 101 that to NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One for the broader range of more casual racing listeners.
You have a partner there with you that does the show with you. Tell me about him.
Yeah, that's Bobby Chaffee. He actually, he's a race announcer as well. He doesn't do it, quite as much as he used to. But it was a concept that he and I had talked about for a long time to try to get a racing program together. And what it was, guys, is we, with the sport of racing here in Texas, just throughout, obviously asphalt, we've got the one track there, thank goodness. But we just don't, we try to be the spokespeople for racing, because we have to do this to survive, because it's the sport can go extinct because the money is just ridiculous that it costs to do this, and we just got to keep it in front of people.
Yeah, well, that the Saturday show, both of your shows, and you yourself, very talented, and we really appreciate the racing shows, because I'll tell you, back in the day, there were no racing shows, local racing shows like this, and we think that there's a need. We think that there's a want for it as well.
Yeah, and that's if you really look, I mean, you guys are talking about racing there in Houston, and I mean, this is what, the third largest city in the United States, for crying out loud, and you guys are talking about it, but if you look at Dallas has Texas Motor Speedway sitting right there. That there is nothing there. I mean, none of their stations have anything, whether it be radio or online. There really isn't anything.
Well, they talk about it locally when the event is happening, probably a week ahead of time, but they don't actually do it nonstop.
Exactly, and so what I've started to do is I tell people that I host the most popular race format show in the state of Texas, which is easy to do, and you're the only one.
Thank you. But you just don't have to tell them that part. Yeah, just kind of leave that part off.
Exactly.
So when you do the Revved Up Sports Show on Monday nights at 6:30, do you pop a cold one right there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and this is really strange because as that show began to gain popularity, it was a mistake because I try to be as professional as possible, at all times, and one time there
sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works. There was a beer sitting on the desk, but I've talked to, as I started getting to some of the tracks along the Gulf Coast. I was in Pensacola one year, and I talked to several people that said what they liked about that program was it seemed like a couple of dudes sitting together at a racetrack, having a cold beer, and so now I have to do it.
You gotta keep up that image, Bob.
Beer, by golly.
Yeah.
Twist my arm.
We've got some whiskey stash somewhere here, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Actually, a big bottle of TX. I'm thinking, exactly. Well, so you're going to be here, let's see, it's next weekend, as a matter of fact.
Week from today.
Yeah. Boobs Rock 2020, and that's just obviously Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so that's one where that affects so many people, and to acknowledge that and to be able to incorporate that into the program that we're going to have out at the track. That's really something special. There's a lot of folks within the racing community, obviously, that have been affected with breast cancer. So to be able to just have some sort of impact with that and race for those folks, we'll do some special things there. Twin feature races for the trucks and the modifieds.
Yeah, the 10
those guys.
Twin 25s, yeah.
They're racing for national points and national money, so we want to try to get them, all the races that we can, so that they're eligible for that. And then, of course, the old-fashioned powder puff is coming back, so that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, and Gina and I have talked about destruction derbies.
Figure eight.
Well,
figure eight is fun.
It'd be kind of difficult at that track to do a figure eight, but I mean, hey, nothing's impossible, and Gina's pretty much game for any of that sort of stuff. And when she told me Boobs Rock, I thought that is absolutely brilliant. That we get the powder puff out there, breast cancer awareness. It just makes sense to me.
Are you racing in the powder puff?
I'm not racing this time in the powder puff. I think that's coming up maybe next year. Yeah.
He's got to work his way up to the
I think what they need to do is they need to have an announcer race. What do you think, Rodney?
They used to do that at one of the dirt tracks up north. They would do that, and they actually invited me to go do that. But at the time, I was actually competing full time, because for the longest time in Kyle, what I would do is I would announce, and then I'd run off and go race and come back and finish the night. So kind
of like your pace car driver.
That's exactly right. Multitasking, just like that guy does. Just like that guy.
That guy.
Except I never got to drive, cars quite as cool as that.
Well,
and I would crash from time to time. So hopefully that guy doesn't do that.
Yeah, no, we don't want that guy to do that. But I have to tell you that that's an experience unto itself. And one of the things that I think that most people don't realize is that there may be spotters up in the tower talking to the drivers, but there's also a race director directing the actual show itself, which is who I'm listening to when it comes to driving the pace car. And he's my director. Okay, pace car, go out right after car number 11 right out there. Pick up the pace, slow down the pace. Pace car off the track, that sort of thing. And there actually is a maestro, if you will, conducting the orchestra of cars that are out there. And I don't think most people realize that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, Don, because I've actually the last couple of races I've been doing some social media stuff during the day, and I've done golf cart rides around the racetrack. Folks don't realize. I mean, yeah, it's in a circle, whatever, but folks don't realize how complex that track is. For one thing, there's, you're going from asphalt to concrete when you hit the corners, and then you drop off the concrete back onto the backstretch, back on the asphalt again. But like the banking in the turns, I mean, for the casual fan sitting in the grandstands, doesn't look like there's any banking to it. But when you get up on the track, you are driving up on the hill out there.
The texture of the track, the integrity of the track, where's the groove, the bumps, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then the groove, so far as is it rubber down, is it low, is it high? So you'll see that during the race. You'll see him searching for the groove.
So, Rodney, for you, we encourage everybody to tune you in. The Revved Up Sports Show, you can find it online and on Facebook. It's Monday night at 6:30. It's great to talk to you. And we will join up with you again next Saturday evening for the 6 o'clock green flag, 5 o'clock gates open, Houston Motorsports Park.
You betcha. Boobs rock 2020, and boobs do rock, no doubt. So that will be a good time. Bring all the fans out. We'll get out in the crowd, and we'll have a good time one last time before we put 2020 to bed.
Yeah, amen.
Please.
Yeah, we're wanting to put it to bed. Absolutely. Rod, thanks to you, man. Talk to you soon.
Take care, gents.
You too. All right, Rodney Rodriguez. All right, got something ugly or maybe nice to say about our show? Well, we want to hear it. All you have to do is shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. A splash and go, and we will be back with a little feature for you that we've got right after this.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Advance Auto Parts and CarQuest present the Boobs Rock Powder Puff Race. Saturday night, October 17th at Houston Motorsports Park. Gates open at 5. The green flag waves at 6. Wear a mask. Social distancing and sanitizer rules. Enjoy $1 hot dogs and $1 beer. $5 discount ticket info online at NASCARHouston.com. Saturday
That
night,
is
October
enough of
17th,
that.
8 to
We've
5,
already
West
heard
Houston.
that. We've told you all about that. And there's I've got it all jacked up over here. So
That's all right.
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Okay.
I kind of lost track of myself.
Because we're not paying any attention.
No, and nobody else is either.
Mike and I are playing solitaire over there.
Is that what you're doing? So I thought I'd give you guys a little surprise. We don't have a lot of time to do this, but I thought this is a great feature. This is from Haggerty.
Oh.
And the headline is 10 James Bond cars not made by Aston Martin. Are you ready?
Really?
Yeah,
I
10
didn't know there
Bond
was 10.
Now, these 10 that he drove or
No,
10 in the movie?
No, in the movie.
All right.
In the movie.
I got one.
Sunbeam Alpine.
Sure.
Remember that car?
Yep.
That was in Dr. No. Okay.
Yeah. The little white convertible.
Uh-huh. How about the Triumph Stag?
Triumph, yeah, I don't know the Stag make.
Diamonds Are Forever. Also known with the Ford Mustang Mach 1 in that, right? How about the Chevy Bel Air in Live and Let Die?
That was
Yeah, okay.
I don't
There's
know
a classic
What he
checkered cab Bond hires to tail
Goldfinger,
Mr. Big Cheesy.
What's the one in Goldfinger?
Well, just a moment.
Okay.
I'm not.
Don't read ahead.
All right, I'm not reading it.
I actually
You
don't
look over his shoulder.
I don't know if I got. Anyway, so here's another one: the Citroen 2CV. You know, I've always been fascinated by the Citroen as to why anybody would ever buy one of those things.
We had lunch together after the show, after the drive-in.
Yeah.
that it was a Citroen, that we couldn't identify the vehicle because it didn't have any tags.
That's
on it.
right. It just had
It just had the logo,
The
the
logo.
emblem.
What logo is that? I said, and I thought it was a Citroen.
And we Googled it, and sure enough, it was.
It was a Citroen. Okay. I think the dog wants in.
Yeah, I think so.
So that was your eyes only. Okay. How about the Alfa Romeo GT V6? Octopussy.
Okay.
Mercedes 250 SE, another Octopussy car. The 1937 Bentley 4.5 liter.
That's go figure.
Thunderball.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was pretty weird. Renault 11, A View to a Kill.
Okay, that was a later one.
Ford Mondeo. Remember the Ford Mondeo? Casino Royale. Volvo S40.
Okay.
Yeah. The Volvo S40 Quantum of Solace. I don't think
That's
I
it?
saw Quantum of Solace.
What's the new with the latest Bond movies?
I
Like
don't.
a couple years ago.
Wait a minute. They're fixing to come out with one, and they've delayed
there's a BMW in
because
one.
there are no movie theaters open.
But there was a BMW one, one of the latest ones. And there was also the one I was thinking of. There was a
Pierce
Mustang.
Brosnan or something? Didn't he have a BMW up in the
Well, this
ice
is
pack
the
or something?
ones that they put together. Okay, there might have been 10
We'll
more.
put our
I
own
don't
list
know.
together. There you go.
I didn't realize, if you're a car guy, all you really care about is what cars are in the movie.
Right.
You don't care how many, Chevy Bel Airs there are. It's the fact that it's a Chevy Bel Air
I
in the
think
car.
they left a few out. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think your goal this week, while you're lounging at home during the day,
I got a gig tonight.
Is to, I know you do. So Jeff plays in a band. Did you know that? Yeah, Jeff does many things, but he plays in a band. And tonight you're going to be down at the Marina Bar and Grill in Galveston.
Right, at the Yacht Basin.
At the Yacht Basin.
Which is not necessarily at the Yacht Basin that you would think it's at.
Well, yeah, I don't only know where
I think it's over there by where the cruise ships are.
Right, just past that.
It's kind of in the touristy area there where the oil rig platform.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You can see it's a big oil rig sitting out there in the water.
There's a big ship out there.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right. Let's do a couple of
You can find it.
Let's do a couple of news headlines before we run out of time. Amazon and Rivian revealed a custom electric delivery van on Thursday that's set to hit the road next year. The new EV is in line with Amazon's commitment to be net zero carbon by 2040 through the Climate Pledge. I'm not sure exactly what that is. The vehicles will begin delivering packages in 2021, and 10,000 electric delivery vans will be manufactured by 2022. Amazon said in a blog post, by 2030, 100,000 electric delivery vans will be in commission.
There's actually a commercial out about that, I believe.
The van can travel up to 150 miles on a single charge and is the first of 3 electric vehicle models that Amazon and Rivian are launching. I thought that was interesting. Tesla's new factory in Austin that they announced not too long ago won't build only the Cybertruck. State filings suggest the company also plans to make batteries on site as part of an ambitious strategy to further integrate its supply chain.
Wow.
The facility is proposing to operate a cell manufacturing unit to produce the battery packs that are installed in the vehicle, according to a 188-page air quality permit application.
Imagine all the materials coming into that.
Yeah, but that's really pretty smart because if they have problems or they need to swap them out.
Centralized.
That's right.
Yep.
Toyota Motor Corporation's Lexus brand outsold luxury rivals Mercedes-Benz and BMW in the latest quarter in the U.S. as inventory shortages triggered by the pandemic hampered the German brands. I did not know this. Lexus, which hasn't won the annual U.S. luxury sales race in a decade, grew 2% in the third quarter to 75,285 vehicles. Deliveries at Mercedes declined 9.4% to 69,631, and BMW suffered a 16% decline to 69,570. Mercedes is still leading the other 2 brands year-to-date by a wide margin. Tesla also is likely near the top of the U.S. luxury segment, but doesn't break out its U.S. sales in its quarterly disclosures.
Of course not.
No, we don't.
No, of course not. You're going to hold that. That's secret.
That's right.
You can't.
That's right.
Yeah, we're not telling you.
Just keep shoveling me money.
Yeah.
Do we know what we're next weekend? We've got the Houston Motorsports Park race.
Yes, we do.
And what else? Do we have anything already lined up for next weekend?
We've got
Mr.
some.
Morris?
Well, we've got some things that kind of backing
Are
up
you
a little
working
bit.
on?
Working on it because of the hurricane. Kind of changed. A couple of things happened, and so we're kind of hate to commit at the moment, but we should have everything firmed up by Monday.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about the Texas Truck Rodeo.
So we didn't. I haven't seen the winners list out of that yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that what we need to do is we need to talk about that next week.
I'll see if I can get the president to join us or something.
You know,
you got Trump coming on?
He knows somebody that's got some pull somewhere.
Get Trump on.
President of the Texas Auto
that
Riders.
president.
That. Hey, well, that's it for this episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on Facebook, please give us a like and tell your friends about us and share our junk. You'll get Conrad's unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. Special thanks to all of our guests today. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our video and marketing elitist is Jeffrey Zekin. This week's In Wheel Time Car Show is produced and directed by Lil Troy. For booking agent and podcast man Mike, Out of This World Mars, his royalty King Conrad DeLong, and Jeffrey Zekin, I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now, and we hope you'll join us on the next live show next Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon Central Time, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network.
Oh,
yes, sir.
There you go.
So we thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being part of the In Wheel Time family. We hope that you have a great weekend. Mask up, stay sanitary, have a great weekend, and so long for now.